Good evening. Welcome to the Time Warner Cable Football Game of the Week. Tonight, a matchup between the unbeaten Foothill High Trojans and the unbeaten BHS Gorillas, ranked number 1 in the Central Section.
It's going to be a tough assignment for Foothill tonight, playing without Gerald Irvin, in my opinion, the best running back in the Valley. But this is a really good Foothill team. They've played all season to get to this game. But it's going to be tough. This is a very good Bakersfield team. Anything can happen tonight. Turnovers for Foothill and field position will be the key for them.
Both teams have great defenses.
Yeah, they do, and we're going to see them play tonight against each other. And that, hopefully, for Foothill playing without Irvin, will be able to keep this game close. If they don't play well defensively tonight, BHS could score a lot of points, and you know what that means.
BHS and Foothill tonight on the Time Warner Cable Football Game of the Week, exclusively on Time Warner Cable Channel 16.
G-E-D. The Get Bus is the ride for me. From there to here and here to there. G-E-T goes everywhere.
What can you do for cleaner air?
Ride to work with time to spare.
Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Here's what we say.
Get on the Get Bus. Get Bus. Get on. Get on the Get. Get on the Get Bus. Get Bus. Get on. Get on the Get. Get on the Get Bus. Get Bus. Get on.
Coffee in the morning, get you on your way. Or something cold any time of the day. Sounds real good, but what do you say? It's easy, it's fast, we're on your way. Take a fast trip to the fast trip. Something to go and something to sip at the fast trip.
Take a fast trip today and pick up an ice-cold Super Guzzler or regular Guzzler, only at Fast Trip.
Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years, specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction, with 3 great locations to serve you.
Teaching your teenager to drive doesn't have to be like swimming with sharks. Let the professionals at Precision Driving School help. Our instructors have the expertise to teach all aspects of defensive driving that help our students gain the confidence and skills needed to pass their driving test the first time. Precision Driving School, we make driving with your teenager as relaxing as a day on the beach. Classes are forming now, so call or visit us today on the corner of 19th and Oak.
If Windows 95, Pentium 133, the internet and gigabytes have you all confused, then you should buy your computer at ARC Technology, your local computer connection, with personal service for just the right equipment at the lowest prices and service after the sale. Check this fall special. The hot new 6-speed CD-ROM drive, just $98. Call ARC for low prices on all RAM upgrades, including laptops and notebooks. And ARC will upgrade all Packard Bells. Don't you buy a computer until you check with ARC Technology, 3 blocks north of Costco at the Clock Tower.
If you've had an accident and are suffering from any of these symptoms, listen to your body and call us today. I'm Dr. Rudy Herrera of Mind and Body Chiropractic. Call us at 837-1505 in Bakersfield or in Delano at 721-1506.
Good evening and welcome to the Prep Football Game of the Week, exclusively on Time Warner Cable Channel 16. I'm Mark Heffernan, with me Bobby Sharp. A very exciting matchup again tonight. Unbeaten Foothill against unbeaten BHS at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, it is, you know, and I think everybody at the beginning of the season probably thought this is the game. These are the 2 teams that probably would be undefeated, although Highland is playing extremely well, and I think they're going to have something to say about this race. But the thing that kind of saddens everybody, especially on the Foothill side, is that Gerald Irvin will not play tonight. If he's in this game, it's completely different. Without him, just like I talked about in the pregame, it's going to be very difficult for Foothill offensively. They haven't been a team during the course of this season that's thrown the ball to the point where they can move the ball down the field just throwing the football. Because of Irvin, they've been able to throw. So how that's going to affect their game, we don't know yet. We know they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more out of the wing tee. mix it up a little bit. But this is a very good Foothill defense, and they've been good all year long. So we're expecting them to play hard, come out, be ready for this game, although it's going to be very difficult to play Bakersfield without Urban.
Can the Foothill defense stop the big playability of Rodney Wright, the outstanding wide receiver, kick returns for BHS. Dugas has a lot of speed out of the backfield. Nate Lewis at quarterback. Fuente and Scott will probably share most of the running duties for Foothill with Ed Hurd being in there. They'll kind of run by committee tonight.
Well, I talked about in the pregame. I said I felt like turnovers and field position are the key things for Foothill. Bakersfield's functioning on all cylinders, and they're playing extremely well. Foothill coming into this game was playing extremely well, and without Urban, it's going to be tough. But Foothill must get turnovers from BHS, and they must have field position, and they need to keep this game close, and they need to allow Baker's leg to keep it close and possibly get a few field goals and just keep it close, and then hope things work out in the end.
Which means they really have to hold BHS down tonight, because Foothill's looking for more of a low-scoring game.
They're going to have to play that way because BHS is so explosive. Like I said, they need to keep the game close, and then in the fourth quarter, kind of see what happens, and hopefully they get a few breaks, the ball bounces their way. You never know.
Due to the rain we've had recently and to the fact that a lot of games have been played on this Memorial Stadium turf, it doesn't look quite the same as it did last month when we were here. It's been charred up somewhat in the middle. So we're ready to play tonight. BHS, white uniforms with blue trim, Foothill in their black and gold, as both teams are undefeated this year at 7-0 and also unbeaten in the Southeast Assembly League. So regardless of what BHS has accomplished so far, they actually do have to win the game tonight.
Oh, most definitely. And with Highland playing as well as they are and getting all over East,
yes, sir.
East High School,
26-7 in the fourth quarter, they exploded.
Took care of them. So, and that Highland defense, when we talked about earlier in the season, making the difference with the Scotsmen. So, this is an important game.
The kickoff is underway. Walker for BHS. Line drives it to the goal line, to the 5, 10, 15-yard line, and up to about the 18-yard line goes Foothill. They won't have great field position at their own 18, where they have to start with their wing T offense.
And we're going to see, like you mentioned, Mark, earlier, we're going to see probably a lot of Ron Scott, who we saw earlier in the season in a blowout win over West, carry the ball late in the fourth quarter. He looked really good. Of course, Ron Scott, in my opinion, one of the best cover corners in all of the Valley. And we're going to see two of those guys tonight. Because Miller on the other side for Bakersfield High, his counterpart is equally as good. So we're going to see Foothill trying to mix it up and trying to get people in there to replace Urban.
20's the fullback, Scott at tailback. He's hit and dropped at the line of scrimmage. That is Ron Scott. BHS defense, we have to talk about their linebackers, and they make their defense go. You're talking about Diaz, Dunn, Manning, and there's four of them. They run a 4-4 defense, and they're kind of in competition every week as far as who's going to get the most tackles, who's going to cause the fumbles, etc.
Well, they pursue well. They kind of do everything well. I mean, they play extremely well together, and Bakersfield's so strong and physical up front, they don't allow you to do a lot. Their linebackers have good reads, and they can fly around and hit people.
The one I missed was Lingo, of course. He's had a number of, I think, a brother that was here in the late 80s and a father. Next run by Foothill gains about 1 yard, so we have a third long situation for Foothill, something they don't want to have with their offense.
No, and that's what BHS wants to force them to do, is throw the football. When you have a Gerald Irvin, you can get 5, 6, and possibly a big run, and then you can mix the passing. And I know Foothill's done that all year long effectively, because Baker has looked good throwing the ball this year. But when that's what you have to do to win a football game, and that's not part of your game plan all year long, you got to make the adjustment. For Baker, he's a senior. He knows what he needs to do to get it done.
It is complete. First down for the Trojans across the 30 to about the 34. Nice throw by Stephen Baker. I think he has to complete at least 12 passes tonight for them to be competitive.
There's no doubt about it. They've got to be able to throw the ball to open up the field, and that time they look good doing it like they've been doing it all year long. What's interesting about this Foothill team is they've had games where they've had their wideouts go for over 100 yards and double figures in catches. So it's not something that they're unaccustomed to. It's just, can they do it for 4 quarters?
First and 10 for the Trojans. Ball in the middle of the field at their own 34. The motion is heard. Ball carries Puente across the 35 to about the 37. Foothill does have a big offensive line, and they like to play physical with you. In fact, this should be a smash-mouth type of football game.
Oh, yeah, very much so. We saw Foothill earlier in the season, and they're led by Josh Ratliff, their senior offensive tackle, and he's definitely one of the better down linemen in the Valley. And they're very good up front. They do an excellent job of protecting Stephen Baker, and they also do an excellent job of run blocking when Urban's in there or Fuente. And we didn't even talk about Fuente and the kind of year he's having in that wing, too.
Ron Scott, the ball carrier, hits by about 3 or 4 BHS drillers on the right side after a gain of 1 or 2 yards. You know, BHS closes so well. against some other teams, he'd have a chance to break it right or left, but their linebackers are studs. They fly to the ball.
Well, the thing that BHS does so well is they physically beat you up front. They hold you up. So you're not able to maybe do some things or block like you would want to against other teams, and it frees up their secondary to make plays because you're not those guys are not having to come up and make plays. They can kind of read and then pursue and make plays, and so it makes a big difference.
Baker looking to throw once again. The pass is complete, and it looks like a first down for the Foothill Trojans, number 14 up to the 45-yard line.
And we don't have 14 on the roster, so maybe they switched a jersey there. I think that's Mackey. I believe it is. I think it's Sean Mackey, number 14 on that play. So far, Foothills look good. Throwing the football.
Throwing those quick look-ins, yeah.
And both of those have been in front of Miller, which is kind of surprising. Not that the coverage was bad, but that they completed it at all.
Really can't defend against those type of passes. Ron Scott on the pitch out, showing good speed to the 50 and to about the 46-yard line in BHS territory, close to the first down. Don't want to celebrate too early, though. But Foothill is pumped up here in the first quarter.
I think emotionally, this is what they have to do, though. They have to come out and get after BHS right away. They can't allow BHS to get after them. They know that they're playing kind of, gimpy-legged a little bit without Urban, so they got to get after it. And so far, they've come out here and looked really, really good running and throwing the ball.
They've done what they have to do. Ball on the right hash mark, 2nd and a yard for Foothill. They're in BHS territory just outside the 45-yard line. Ron Scott, wing right for Foothill. He's in motion. Baker to Puente, has the first down, 40. Stays on his feet to about the 37-yard line for the runners. Now gaining some yards, have a little real estate in front of them. Good blocking on the right side.
Well, we talked about that Foothill line, and they do an excellent job of blocking up front. And the wing T is designed for that misdirection stuff to kind of get you going one way and come back inside. And Fuente runs as well as anybody in town when they run that wing T stuff, and he runs in between the guards. He's very good.
He had 440 yards coming into the game. Was their number 2 rusher, but he's a good all-around player, a fine linebacker for Foothill. Senior running back behind Baker. 2 receivers to the right side. Dangerous pass complete to the 33-yard line of BHS territory. And Foothill keeping it on the move. 3 completions for Baker here in this series.
Yeah, he looks really good. And I like what the Foothill's doing. They know they're going to have to throw the ball and mix it in. And right away they come out with Baker throwing the ball to build his confidence, get him going right off the mark. And they're using the pass to kind of set up the run, which is, I mean, normally with Irvin, you kind of run to set up everything. But tonight, it looks like so far they're saying, hey, we're going to come out and throw it to make our run a little bit more effective and loosen them up a little bit.
Hand off to Hurd inside the 30 to about the 28-yard line.
And Foothill coming right down the field, mixing up the pass and the run, and they're moving the ball on the drillers. And time of possession is something I didn't talk about earlier, but that's going to be huge for Foothill. If they can keep the ball and continue to do this and drive the ball up and down the field, even if they don't score every time, they're going to keep that BH offense off the field. And that's something that I know Ned wants to do.
Foothill looking very impressive on this opening drive. 3rd and less than a yard with 6:45 to play in the first quarter. They're doing what they want to do against BHS, keep the ball away from the drillers, and kind of a balance of run and pass on this initial series. On 3rd down, Puente has the first down to about the 25-yard line of that offensive line with a nice push forward. The Trojans with another first down as they keep this drive going.
One of the most difficult things to do is when you lose a key player is the emotional psyche. How are you going to respond? And I know this week in California, Ned talked about how he was worried about how his team was going to respond, but I think they've had some good practices this week. I think Gerald has been there with the team, and I think they feel like, hey, it's been a combined effort. Gerald's a huge part of what we've done, but it's been offense and defense, and they feel like very comfortable coming into this game.
I think they were down initially, but they had some great practices late in the week, and a pitch out to Scott. And BHS flying around, they're dropping for about a half-yard loss. A play that took a long time to develop, and the drillers basically penetrate extremely well in their defensive front.
You know, you can move the ball up and down the field, but once you get into the red zone against the drillers, it becomes very difficult to score. Not many teams have done that this year because they are so good and they have so many athletes in the secondary. They make it so difficult for you to score. But again, Foothill's doing right now in their initial drive exactly what they need to do. We talked about keeping this game close, and that's the key.
Kill Miller on this side of the right corner for BHS. Baker to throw. Pass over the middle, complete to the 10-yard line to the 8. First and goal for Foothill to 5-yard line.
And we still don't. I think it's Bullard. I said Mackey earlier, and they've switched up the jersey numbers on it since the last time we've seen him.
Well, Bowler is the leading receiver for Foothill coming into the game. He only had about 15 receptions, but he was the man they said that we would see a lot of tonight.
So Buller has 3 catches already from Baker, and what they're doing is that time is they ran motion, and he was the slot man. And again, they've definitely seen something because they're throwing the ball to the middle of the field on the drillers, and they've completed every time they've thrown it there.
Well, Foothill needs to score here. Baker looking to throw, good protection, lost it into the end zone for Bowler.
That's a touchdown!
A touchdown for the Trojans!
How about that? Foothill coming out throwing the ball, changing the pace a little bit, comes right on their first possession and says, hey, we can throw the football. Boom.
That was a beautiful throw. He had it lofted high into the air, and I wasn't sure if he was going to get his feet down or not. But they went exclusively to him throughout this drive, and I guess Baker had about 5 completions. He'll probably go over that 12 completion thing I said he needed to do for them to stay competitive in the game.
Well, the key thing is they got in the red zone and they scored. I mean, what a confidence booster for Foothill to take their opening drive down the field, and they looked very comfortable doing it. Like they didn't have a lot of problems.
Well,
they're mixing in the pass and the run, and boom, touchdown.
This is a long-standing rivalry since the 60s, and ever since Foothill started as a school, they've given BHS fits. I think Foothill's first or second year as a school, they defeated a BHS team that was at the top of the league. They've always played very well against BHS.
You're right, and it is a big rivalry, so it's not something that, you know, is tough to get up for. I mean,
no.
It's not one of those kind of things, but this was a very impressive drive. And again, Baker, the senior, he's their leader. He's poised, he's very calm, and we know how good of an athlete he is.
He looked excellent throwing the ball in that initial series. Very smooth.
Very smooth, and they look very comfortable, and they don't look like they're without their leading rusher, you know, their top runner. They look pretty poised and comfortable on that first drive.
Well, you look at Foothill, and they have maybe 30 players in their team, and BHS probably has 50 to 60. And so Foothill's in a situation where they've all come together, and they're a team that believes in themselves. And you still have to play the game regardless of whether your top player is performing or not. Well, the other guys say, hey, we can do the job. Give us a shot. This is our chance.
There's only 2 undefeated teams in Bakersfield, and hey, Foothill's one of them.
That's
so
right.
They feel good about that coming into this game. They know what the stakes are.
And Baker slams it through as Foothill's up on top of BHS 7-0 with 5:03 to play in the first quarter. And you're watching the high school football game of the week exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 16.
Get on the get. Geo, go. Get ready, set. For a whole month of rice that lasts, all you gotta do is get a flash pass.
The Get Bus is so easy to do.
I catch up on my reading too. Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Here's what we say.
Get on the get bus, get bus, get on the get on the get bus, get bus, get on the get bus, get on.
Coffee in the morning, get you on your way. Or something cold any time of the day. Sounds real good, but what do you say? It's easy, it's fast, we're on your way. Take a fast trip to the fast trip. Something to go and something to sip at the fast trip.
Take a fast trip today and pick up an ice-cold Super Guzzler or regular Guzzler, only at Fast Trip.
Foothill is sporting a different look tonight. He's throwing more than he normally has. You don't have Irvins in the backfield, so it is a different situation for BHS to look at as he bangs it through the end zone. And BHS will start off first and 10 for the 20. No run back to Rodney Wright.
And that'll happen all night long. Baker's going to keep, if they score, he'll kick the ball out of the end zone every time tonight. So that's going to be a weapon that they take away from the drillers.
Definitely a plus factor.
No doubt about it.
But you take 1/5 of Rodney's exploits away from him.
You have to. You got to do something to kind of offset how good he is.
But as we talked about, Foothill's had an outstanding defense all year, and that's one of the reasons why they're 7-0. If you can't limit your offense, you know, your defense has to play tough. Pitch back, 30-yard line to the 35. Is McCoy, cross midfield to the 45. First and 10 for BHS. Doing what they normally do, come back with a big play after the other team scores.
Well, that's why they're 7-0 too. And they just rotated in McCoy, Dugas, and Bennett, and you've heard their names all year long. That's why they're the #1 ranked team in the section, and that's why they're as good as they are. They have so many weapons, and anytime you've got Rodney Wright out there, you have to worry about what he can do, and it just makes the running game that much more effective. And they're so good up front. They're outstanding.
Daryl McCoy with a big run for BHS, first and 10. Pitch back to him again. To the 45, great block, and cuts back to the 40. He picks up about 5 yards inside the 40 to the 39-yard line in Foothill territory.
Well, Steve Pineda making the tackle, number 13 from Foothill. Just an outstanding year for him from his free safety position. He's played corner, safety, kind of doing it all for Foothill. And talk about a guy who gives you his all. He's not very big, but he plays extremely hard.
Well, he's a very intelligent player and is the type of athlete who's at the right place at the right time. LaTroy Higgins we had talked about, who performed very well in the other game that we saw them play. He's a backup wingback and also plays outside linebacker for Foothill. I formation with Bennett and McCoy. Foothill showing blitz. McCoy close to the 35-yard line. It depends on where they spot it. He'll be close to the first down. And might even have it on 2nd down and 5.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested at this point in the game why Dugas has been the starter most of the year, and then McCoy has come off the bench. I don't know if Dugas is injured or he might be a little bit dinked up. I don't know. We haven't heard, but normally Dugas is the starter. So,
right.
I mean, I don't think you lose much because they're both very effective. They have great speed.
Is a 1st and 10 for BHS. Dugas is about 185 pounds, and McCoy is 160. And, of course, Bennett, the solid fullback for BHS, is around 188, 190. They had combined for over 1,600 yards coming into the game tonight. McCoy on a wide play to the 30, down the sidelines, 20, pushed out of bounds at the 17-yard line. 1st and 10 for BHS.
See, here's the problem. The problem is, can Foothill continually take the ball down the field and score every time? Can they do that? Because Bakersfield High is going to continue to put pressure on you, and defensively, no matter how good you are, you haven't seen this kind of depth and balance of any team you played this year, even Buchanan. Buchanan does not have the athletes that Bakersfield High does, so that's the problem. Consistently on offense tonight, Foothill's going to have to do what they did the first time they touched the ball.
I don't think they can do it every time they have the ball, Foothill. It usually wakes up BHS. 1st and 10 for the Drillers at the 17. Might have taken too much time. There might have been some movement in the offensive line for the Drillers, and it is
Mark,
motion against BHS.
I really do. You know, of the other tremendous attributes and players that Bakersfield High has on their team with their line and their defense and how good they are in their skill positions, I think the difference in this team this year, a lot of people would say getting Rodney Wright, transferring in was a difference. Nate Lewis has been the difference. That's my opinion. Nate Lewis giving them the weapon and developing as quickly as he's developed this year. I mean, he's been outstanding, and he is throwing the ball as well as anybody.
Yeah, he's around 60% this year, and he's throwing the key passes, making the big plays, and he's running the offense. McCoy once again to the 20, looking for a block, puts his head down, has the first down to about the 15, 14-yard line, just waiting for those blocks to develop. Is running behind that big offensive line.
Foothill's going to have to do a better job of getting penetration when the ball is pitched wide, because if those corners don't come up and turn that play in and they're getting blocked all night long, it's going to be a long night, because McCoy and Dugas, if they can wait on a block, forget it. I mean, they're going to have to get deeper penetration and turn that play back in.
Rodney White, White to the right for BHS, slot right, Bennett, and McCoy in the backfield behind Lewis. Bennett hits, falls forward as usual as he gets to about the 12-yard line. Always falls forward.
Yeah, he's
He was popped and did a little spin move there.
Well, we're seeing, I think, two of the best fullbacks in town, and Fuente for Foothill, and then, of course, David Bennett for Bakersfield High School. I was talking to a few people today, and one of the assistant coaches for Bakersfield High School, and I said, what's the situation with David? I mean, where does it look like who's interested? And Colorado State was one of the schools that was interested. Mentioned to me that was interested in him, and apparently he's shown some interest in Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, being a 3.5 student. I don't think he'd have a problem getting in there, but I know Bakersfield College is very interested.
Well, he has a lot of great options. Pitch back to McCoy, looking for the block to the 15, 10-yard line, stays on his feet, touchdown, BHS.
See, that's too easy. Again, I just made the comment about the corners coming up, and that time Hurd never came up and got blocked. And when BHS running backs turn the corner, they're gonna break a big play, or if it's short like that, they're gonna score every time in the red zone.
They just didn't get to the spot quick enough as Puente is down on the field for Foothill, sitting down.
Foothill cannot allow BHS to do that. Basically, that was all sweeps with the exception of a couple of runs inside. And Foothill's going to have to get their corners up and their linebackers up and get a little bit more penetration from their defensive ends. And they're going to have to push that inside, or Bakersfield High is going to be able to run that all night long. And that's just basically student body right stuff, and that's too easy.
Not getting kind of penetration they need as BHS scores their first touchdown of the game. 2:11 to play in the first quarter. It's now Foothill 7, BHS 6, as we are waiting the PAT for the Drillers. Michael Puente trying to get up for Foothill. Now he does. He's probably just shaken up just a bit now. As we talked about, he's playing tailback, and also he plays linebacker on defense for the Trojans, so definitely a key individual for them.
You know, coming into a game like this, as big as a game as it is, and they move it to Saturday night and the anticipation and everything, it's really a shame that we don't get to see Gerald Irvin in this kind of a game. And we're going to see him next year because he's going to be okay. And for those of you that maybe are watching the broadcast for the first time and don't know, Gerald tore a ligament in his knee in the game against East High School, and is going to be out for the remainder of the season, which really hurts his Foothill team, not only tonight, but they have to play Highland, who right now is playing better than anybody, I think, and then in the playoffs. And so it's very difficult for Foothill.
Eric Walker's PAT was wide to the left, so Foothill has a lead of 7-6.
And that's unusual because he doesn't miss very much. I haven't
the
seen
Trojans
him miss
still looking good here.
He dodged a bullet.
Late in the first quarter, they have a 1-point lead.
Yeah,
Both teams have scored in their initial series.
Yep.
Foothill did what they had to do, mixed up the pass and the run, as Stephen Baker showed a lot of poise at quarterback. BHS, as usual, answered back in a hurry.
Well, it's not going to be Foothill's defense tonight because I don't think anybody can stop Bakersfield High School. I mean, you're going to get scored on. It's going to be their offense.
And you're watching the high school football game of the week exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 16.
And we're going to talk about the sponsors, I guess. Is that what we're going to do? Yes, we are. As they tell us about the sponsors, and I'm looking for my sponsor sheet as we speak, but I know that we can say thanks to Art Technology, who sponsored our
Precision Driving School.
Exactly. See, we've got to memorize. Fast Trip, food stores, where I like to get my Sprite, of course. You know that. And AJ's, Tuxedo Junction.
Get on the bus.
Right. We're going to get butts, right. Thanks to our sponsors tonight. We couldn't do it without them, especially in the big games like we got tonight.
Heard the ball carry across the 20 to about the 25 in the ensuing kickoff. As the Trojans start 1st and 10 from their own 25, which is better than they started their initial series at their own 18. Let's see if they can start a long drive here. With 2:06 to play in the first quarter, Foothill leading BHS 7-6, as Walker's PAT was long enough, but far to the left.
And it's all consistency with the Foothill offense tonight. Can they consistently do what they did in their opening drive? That's going to be the key to this game tonight.
Baker at quarterback for Foothill with Puente behind him. Slot, Ron Scott and Hurd. Puente, I think, up the middle, across the 25 to about the 28. Good inside runner, as we had talked about. He usually does the dirty work for the Foothill Trojans. And I had heard talk that he was going to play some tailback tonight, but basically they're using him at fullback, and either Scott or the other Hurd at the tailback.
Well, in the wing T, you know, you can kind of, interchange people,
around.
Right, and so it makes it a little bit more easier for them to make the adjustment, but it's not easier to make the adjustment with talent. I mean, there's no question what Mr. Irvin means to this football team. But so far tonight, it's been pretty good.
Bowler wide to the right for Foothill. He caught that first touchdown pass and had a few receptions in the opening drive. Looked like setting up for a screen right to Puente. Hit immediately and dropped it at the 25-yard line by number 42 for BHS. Jake Lingo. We've heard that name for a few years here in Driller Land.
Did he read that or did he read that?
Read it beautifully.
And nobody blocked him. There were 3 Foothill linemen out there. Nobody picked him up. He slipped the block, came inside, made a heck of a play. And you're right. He's been doing that all year long.
He's trying to pick up some points. Yeah. Those linebackers on their team are in constant competition
I'm sure he's got a lot of
defensive points.
I mean, he's an outstanding linebacker.
Assisted tackles, unassisted tackles, sacks.
One of the things that Lingo does, he's physical, he's strong, but one of the things he does so well is he reads. He's a very intelligent player.
Third down for Foothill. Bowler with the reception, short gain, and it's punting time for the Foothill Trojans as he's down at the 27-yard line.
Great coverage by Miller.
Joey Miller says, you're throwing on my side, I'm going to make you pay for it.
Well, Miller, one of the best cover guys. We talked about him already this year, how good he is. He plays the run or the pass. It doesn't matter. Most of the time, you try not to throw to his side because that's how good he is.
He's back deep with Rodney Wright, standing at the BHS 35-yard line.
One weapon Foothill has when they kick the ball off or field goals, of course, is Baker. But Baker also punts. So you've got another intelligent special teams player that enables you to do things and keep the ball out of Rodney Wright's hands.
You're watching a high school football game of the week exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 16.
Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years, specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction, with 3 great locations to serve you.
Teaching your teenager to drive doesn't have to be like swimming with sharks. Let the professionals at Precision Driving School help. Our instructors have the expertise to teach all aspects of defensive driving that help our students gain the confidence and skills needed to pass their driving test the first time. Precision Driving School, we make driving with your teenager as relaxing as a day on the beach. Classes are forming now, so call or visit us today on the corner of 19th and Oak.
If Windows 95, Pentium 133, the internet and gigabytes have you all confused, then you should buy your computer at ARC Technology, your local computer connection, with personal service for just the right equipment at the lowest prices and service after the sale. Check this fall special. The hot new 6-speed CD-ROM drive, just $98. Call ARC for low prices on all RAM upgrades, including laptops and notebooks. And ARC will upgrade all Packard Bells. Don't you buy a computer until you check with ARC Technology, 3 blocks north of Costco at the Clock Tower.
If you've had an accident and are suffering from any of these symptoms, listen to your body and call us today. I'm Dr. Rudy Herrera of Mind and Body Chiropractic. Call us at 837-1505 in Bakersfield or in Delano at 721-1506.
7-6 games. We begin the second quarter from Memorial Stadium on Time Warner Cable Channel 16. Mark Heffernan with Bobby Sharp. Stephen Baker will be doing the punting for Foothill, and just as I said that, the referee threw a flag.
And what I talked to before we were going to the break is that you've got Baker about punting as well as you do kicking off, field goals, and everything else. He's very intelligent. He has a great leg, so he can take the ball out of Rodney Wright's hands. He can kick the ball deep. And so it's another weapon for Foothill. Another way for Foothill not allow Bakersfield High to make big plays on them. Keep the ball out of Rodney's hands. That's the key thing.
Well, Baker will be punting from his own 10 or 11 yard line. As a short punt, picked up by Miller at the 45. Gets away from some people, and he's to about the 48-yard line, so very good field position for the BHS Drillers as they start their second series tonight, trailing 7-6 against Foothill.
And Foothill's defense is going to have to make plays. We said that we don't think that they're going to be able to stop them, but they're going to have to come up with some plays to allow their offense to kind of gather themselves a little bit. But they're going to have to make some plays tonight, and Bakersfield looked very easy their first drive against Foothill. Kind of running left, running right with the sweeps, and Foothill's going to have to do a better job of turning those plays back in and making some plays on defense.
Elliott Sajak, left tackle for BHS, 6'5", 295. Tapia, the other tackle, 6'3", 300. Bennett, the ball carrier, across midfield to about the 47-yard line. The Drillers with some big beef up front.
Well, they're huge. I mean, they're just flat out huge. And anytime they have field position like this, they normally score. And all year, it seems like every time we've had the Drillers, field position has been a key thing for them. Not that that they need it, because they've been able to drive them, up and down the field on anyone, and their balance has been their key. But anytime they get the ball in great field position this year, I bet you if they statted that, and I'm sure they do, anytime they get that really, really good field position, they score every time.
Score. Right, slot left. Walker wide left for BHS. Pitch back to Bennett to the 45. Pretty good speed. Puts his head down. Gets to about the 42, 43-yard line. To be close to the first down if he didn't get it.
Steve Pineda made a heck of a play, because if Bennett would have turned the corner, again, Hurd got blocked that time, and Bennett got to the outside. And if it wasn't for Pineda, that play would have went for a long gain.
But as usual, Bennett drives forward.
I don't know what it is with him. I think that they're just special players. I think there are guys that they have physical talent, but they just have something that they're born with. It's an instinct, it's an ability to play, and the bigger the game, the better they play.
They rise to the occasion. Nate Lewis to throw. Out pattern complete to Rodney Wright, 35. Puts his head down, driven out of bounds at the 30. Rodney always is able to keep his feet away from the defender. He's not big, maybe 160, soaking wet, but he's very tough.
Quick little comeback pattern to Rodney. They pitch it out to him and let him run, and that's going to be a tough assignment for who's ever guarding him out there. That wasn't Scott that time, but we would assume that Scott would be the cover man there on Rodney no matter where he goes. But that time it was Hurd out there, and so far Bakersfield hasn't had to throw the ball. So basically they've just been able to run the ball, and if they mix in the pass, it's going to be that much tougher for Foothill.
Well, at this point, I don't see Scott in the defensive lineup for Foothill. He would be number 21.
So maybe because he's on the offensive end, they're trying to save him and rest him. And see, that's one of the areas where when you replace,
that hurts you defensively.
It's so difficult because Scott is so good defensively and such a good cover man. How are you going to match up with Rodney and the other possession receivers for the Drillers? It becomes very difficult.
As you know, Stephen Baker plays free safety for Foothill. Not the entire game, a big majority of it. Pitch back to Bennett, right, cuts back, 30, 25, breaks the tackle. He'll go the distance, 10, touchdown, BHS.
Great blocking up front. That time Foothill did exactly what I said they needed to do. They turned it inside, but there was nobody there when they turned it inside. And Bennett showing everybody that, hey, I got some speed too. I just don't put my head down. I can run. He ran by 3 Foothill defenders and touchdown. And again, right now, Bakersfield on the ground is doing everything they want to do, and it's looking awfully easy.
As you mentioned, great blocking by BHS. He broke an arm tackle about halfway through there. Then he just kind of split the defense with his speed. He has deceptive speed.
Yes,
Not only has power, he has speed. And like the great players, he smells the end zone.
He knows how to run to the pay dirt.
Pitch back to McCoy into the end zone. Touchdown, BHS, as they go for the 2-point conversion.
That was a heck of a run by McCoy that time because he almost fell down. He was going to cut it inside, then cut it back outside. That was a nice run.
Boy, now it's 14-7 BHS with 10:25 to play in the second quarter. As the Drillers have scored both times, they have touched the ball tonight.
That's what we were just talking about. You have got to, defensively, if you're Foothill, you've got to have some stops tonight. You know Bakersfield's going to score, but you can't let them score every time they touch the ball because it's going to put way too much pressure on your offense. And see, the other thing with Foothill, too, is that time of possession thing that we talked about. Foothill likes to grind it out with Irvin. He can break a long run, but it might be after 5, 6, 7 plays after they drive the ball down the field, then he'll break one on you. And that's something that they're not going to be able to do tonight. I'm not saying that Foothill doesn't have a good offensive front line because they do, but you're playing a Driller team that's a lot more physical and doesn't allow the big plays because of their athletes in the secondary.
Yeah.
It's so much tougher.
They close to the play so quickly. Well, you know, BHS only defeated a good East team, 20-6. And then they kind of toyed with West, beating them 20-2. So they haven't had a big offensive output in some time.
Well, I think,
and they usually rise to the occasion.
When you're in the situation that they're in too, when you go through the middle of the schedule and you're playing teams maybe that you know you should beat, there's a tendency to have some letdown. But they didn't get beat, and that's the only thing that matters.
Well, they know how to win, that's for sure. Walker will be kicking off for BHS. They're up in front 14-7 over Foothill. Early stages of the second quarter, line drive, and it goes through the end zone. And Foothill will start 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Had a very impressive first drive. And the second time they had the ball, not so impressive as BHS came and stopped them. And then, of course, the problem there is BHS only had about a 52 or 53-yard drive.
A lot of pressure on your offense when you come into this game without Gerald Irvin. A lot of pressure. And you have got to establish yourselves defensively. Foothill's got to do that tonight. They have got to make some stops in order to give their offense an opportunity to kind of at least take a breath, because a lot of these guys are going both ways.
Ron Scott, the ball carrier, hit and dropped in the backfield for maybe a 1 or 2 yard loss. You know, BHS has 8 players really stacked up on the line. Just want to force Baker to throw the ball.
Well, they've done a nice job of throwing it tonight, so I don't really think that's a bad idea. You know, the way they've shown balance so far has made their run a little bit more effective because they have been able to throw the ball. And they just need to continue to do that. And those front 5 up there are going to have to block all night long. It's going to be a tough assignment.
But as you know, Foothill does have to run the ball effectively to do anything this game. Scott is hit and dropped by at least 3 BHS Drillers.
And we got a flag on the play, Mark.
He actually got face mask against BHS, which definitely helps Foothill.
So Foothill gets a break on that play.
But you talk about penetration by the defense. He was popped by 3 guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, all year long, BHS has not allowed anybody to dominate them up front. That's why it's been so difficult to run on them. And there have been games where they've you feel like, well, wait a minute here, maybe they're getting tired, but they bend, but they don't break. When it comes money time, when you're in the zone, in the red zone, they don't give up points. And that's and when you get into the Valley playoffs and when you're going to play for a Valley championship, like I think this Driller team is going to do, that's where you win championships right there. When it's money time and you have to make plays, you got to make plays, and they do it.
That's right. Highland, a team that BHS will play next week, has had the problem of committing many penalties this year, and that's been probably their only weakness. 1st and 10 for Foothill. Baker to throw, good protection, fires it out, incomplete, almost intercepted at the 49-yard line by Tyler Polson of BHS.
and he just threw the ball behind him that time.
Yeah, very tough throw.
It was. It was kind of a comeback pattern to the inside, and he threw the ball behind him. He was open, but it was good coverage.
It'll be 2nd and 10 for Foothill. One-on-one coverage on Martinez for the Trojans. As Stephen Baker talked things over with his coaching staff, 9:28 to play in the second quarter. It's BHS 14, Foothill 7 on Time Warner Cable. Heard wide to the right. Puente and Scott in the back from behind Baker. Two-step drop, fires it, incomplete. And I think we have a penalty on the other side against Kelly Miller of BHS. Kind of held up the wide receiver on the far side for Foothill.
You know, I don't know how they make that, how they determine that call. If the defender runs into the offensive player and doesn't allow him to get to the spot, I understand that, you know, that incidental contact. But if the ball's thrown, it's not catchable, and then there's contact, how can that go against the defense?
Sometimes officials don't call it, sometimes they do. It is looked at this point that he was holding him up a little bit.
But I don't think that ball was catchable.
Well, I agree with you. But BHS has helped out Foothill twice in this drive.
Yes, they have. They've kept this drive alive, as a matter of fact, because basically Foothill, in their last 2 series, haven't been able to run the ball at all, and Baker's has missed his last 3 throws, so BHS is keeping it going for the Trojans.
Trojans will gladly accept the gifts. Baker, looking left, loops it out there to Bowler, incomplete. Great one-on-one coverage by Miller. And they're trying to work on Miller tonight.
Well, that surprises me.
They've thrown at least 4 times in this direction, the last 2, and Kelly's staying with them all the way.
That surprises me, but you know, he did such a great job because when you're a corner, they teach you to use the sideline as kind of like an extra defender. Make that guy make a tough catch going to the sideline. And he did a great job, pinned him inside. The ball had to be thrown perfectly. Had it been thrown to his inside shoulder, that would have been a pick. So you can't play it any better than that.
Well, we have been somewhat surprised they've been challenging Kelly Miller. 2nd and 10 for Foothill at their own 47. Inside handoff to Puente. Nothing is there, but BHS Drillers, they definitely stacked him up. And it'll be 3rd and long for Foothill.
You know, we've talked so much about how good Miller is, and then, of course, we've talked about Scott and his ability to cover. And let's don't forget about the guys over at Centennial, Branson and Moreno, who I like a lot, who do an excellent job in coverage and playing the run. I think those are our 4 top defensive players right there. Throw in Ethan Beck with his athletic ability, being able to run around,
I always throw in
play
Ethan
the ball.
Beck.
I think you could put Ethan Beck anywhere and he'd be good.
That's right.
But tonight, we want to talk about Mr. Polson, too, the other side of that
Tyler
corner.
Polson. Stephen Baker rolling to his right, throws it out incomplete at midfield. Nice one-on-one coverage.
But getting back to Polson, Tyler Polson has done an outstanding job this year. And we've talked a lot about Miller and how good he is, but Polson has been equally as good. And he's covered the pass and played the run so well this year. And anytime people try to run wide against this BHS team, they've done such a good job of turning the play in. Normally, Miller will turn it in and then make the tackle or get an assist. That's how good he is. But Polson, in his own right, has had an outstanding year.
4th down for Foothill. Baker punting from his own 40-yard line, not much of a rush. High punt. Comes down to Rodney Wright, will let it drop. Takes a Foothill roll to about the 8-yard line.
Is that a great kick?
Beautiful. Beautiful
punt. That's
punt.
an outstanding kick.
High, allows your coverage team to get down there, does not allow Rodney Wright to take off with it. And now you got BHS pinned back. The defense has to do the job down here for Foothill. Let's come up, let's make a stop, let's get the ball back.
Exactly.
In good field position.
Exactly. They've got to make a stop. So far, Foothill's in good shape. At the 8-minute mark in the first half, you're only down 7, so you got to feel good about that. But their defense has got to make some plays.
That's right. Remember, BHS has scored both times they've had the ball. 8:26 to play in the second quarter. Well, Foothill has done a great job as far as using up some of the clock. Nate Lewis to Bennett. Gets maybe to the 10-yard line and beyond. That's about it. Schenkel making the tackle for Foothill, number 44.
Yeah, and he's their busy
He makes
guy.
a lot of them.
Yes, he does. He's had
Both these teams have a lot of outstanding people on defense.
Well, very busy linebackers. I think if you're a good defensive club, you want to be good up front, of course, but your linebackers, they mean everything. Because your linebackers have to read, pursue, they're your leaders, and they kind of dictate how you're going to play.
Definitely their mentality dictates. Lewis, pitch back to McCoy. Nice cut back, 15, and to about the 16-yard line. It'll be 3rd down for BHS. Foothill doing a little bit better job on this series, but have to come up with the play now. Puente with the tackle.
See, that's the best job they've done so far in this game of turning it inside, but those people didn't pursue inside quick enough. I mean, Fuente had to come over and make the tackle, but that inside linebacker should have been inside of to make that tackle.
Let's face it, BHS makes you look a little slower than you really are.
And they do a great job of interior blocking, so you're not always going to be able to get
Yeah.
there.
That's the whole thing. They're playing a great team like them. You always seem to be a step slow. Right, wide to the right. Bennett, and they stop him. It'll be 4th down for BHS. It depends on where they spot the ball, but I think he's shy of the first down marker. Kind of a conservative call by Preston. Just to the left side, but it's 4th and maybe a yard and a half for BHS. As they didn't try to get too creative on that 3rd down play.
Well, I'm thinking
Foothill stuffing it a little bit better this series.
You know, I'm thinking, as Coach Holly would think of this situation, Coach Preston, let's don't turn the ball over. Let's try to not do something that allows Foothill to get back in the game. Let's kick the ball out, let our defense play. Foothill hasn't hardly done anything the last 3 possessions they've had, so let's let our defense play.
Punt's underway by Walker. Comes to her, nice spin move across midfield to the 47. And yeah, rocked by about 2 or 3 BHS drillers, but great field position for Foothill.
Tremendous field. This is the best field position.
He made a great dance move there. I like that. Unfortunately, he was ripped.
He got rocked.
I'm glad I'm not down there getting hit by 3 guys.
Yeah,
it's easier up here.
Well, BHS, every phase of their game this year, as is Foothill, their special teams have been part of the reason why they're so good. And Hurd has done an outstanding job returning kicks this year. He's explosive. He can break them. So that's not unusual to see him do that.
1st and 10 for the Trojans at the BHS 47-yard line. Baker pitched to Ron Scott. Tries to cut inside, maybe to the 45. BHS providing that big wall. If he can get by that wall and cut left or right, he can make some things happen. He has to get past that defensive line. Yeah.
That wall has a name and a number.
They just...
Number 74, John Coffey. I mean, this guy, I think this guy can play for the Renegades right now. That's how big and athletic and good as he is. Number 74 for the Drillers.
6'2", 290.
He is a big person, to say the least. And
I think Ron Scott runs about 165 or so.
And he's athletic, too. That's the other thing about those guys on this Driller team. They're athletic. You're not just talking about a guy who can play head up on you and is physical. He can move laterally with his feet, and he does a great job. At that time, he just moved laterally down the line of scrimmage and snuffed that play out.
2nd and 8 for Foothill, 5:55 to play in the first half. They trail at 14-7. Baker, quick-looking pattern incomplete to Bowler. Coverage by Kelly Miller. An excellent coverage by Kelly. And they're still going at him. Looking pattern.
I'm just surprised they're even throwing that way. I would think that they would try to get it. Now, we haven't actually seen enough of the game yet to really see if they've got Miller specifically on him, no matter where he lines up. If that's the case, it could be a long night.
Well, Foothill goes exclusively to one receiver. He's caught the majority of their passes this year. As you know, they don't throw very much, and they've been throwing extensively to him. I'd like to see somebody else get involved in the passing game for Foothill. You have to mix it up against BHS.
Well, that's probably where we're going to see some screens and try to throw some stuff underneath.
Remember, they tried that once, and somebody's there for Foothill. Baker looping it long, incomplete to Bowler. Polson on the coverage this time, so they tried him at the left side to the right side, and BHS with great one-on-one coverage.
And the thing that made that play is that Baker had to release the ball early because BHS had a blitz on, and Lingo put a big hit on him, and he had to get rid of the ball too early. And Polson, even if the ball had, again, Polson in great coverage, Miller the last time in great coverage, so very difficult. And if they start getting pressure on Baker, it's going to be even tougher.
And I'm sure they will as the game goes on. Foothill punting. 4th down, Baker from his own 41-yard line. Puts it high and to the left, trying to drive it out of bounds and keep it away from Rodney Wright, who just stands in bewilderment. I can't get the ball tonight.
He's got to expect that.
Yeah.
He knows Baker's not going to kick the ball his way. I mean, he's a player, and he knows that they're not going to kick the ball to him. So far in this game, we've talked about Bakersfield High scoring 2 out of the 3 times they've touched it. But it's kind of a funny thing happening. We're at the 5:40 mark in the first half, and Foothill's still in this thing.
Sure.
Although you look at the numbers in the first half, and BHS has dominated the game, but yet Foothill's still there. And I talked about in the pregame, stay close. Just keep the game close, and they're doing it so far.
I think Baker wanted to punt that ball inside to 15. He probably knocked it to the left too much as it rolls to the 25. Nate Lewis to throw. He's got Mr. Wright, midfield 50. That's a race, cuts back, 35-30, stays on his feet, down to about the 27-yard line. We're talking about that guy. We mentioned the fact he's great at getting open, but he breaks tackles. He almost took this one all the way.
What made that play was Nate Lewis. Nate Lewis did a great job on the play action on the sweep. They actually faked the sweep that time, sucked everybody up, and Rodney Wright just ran right down the middle of the field. And, of course, Foothill's thinking run because that's what Bakersfield likes to do. And that's where the balance
They've been
becomes
setting
so
it up.
difficult. Exactly. And then Rodney does what he does best when he catches it, and that's run for the pay dirt.
He broke 2 tackles that time. 1st and 10 for BHS. Pitch back to McCoy. Cuts back, swarmed over by a couple of Foothill players at a 30. Number 44 in there again for the Trojans.
And 76, Josh
Schenkel
Ratliff.
and Ratliff.
Going both ways. That's the first time they've got penetration from their defensive line, and that's what they've got to do to continue. Now they're starting to do a better job of turning that play in. That time Ratliff doing a great job, got penetration, made the play himself.
So many weapons for the Drillers. And the main weapon, one of the main weapons is a quarterback. He makes things go, Nate Lewis.
See what, it's not easy.
Orchestrates the offense.
Not easy to play both ways if you're Ratliff, because you have to block.
Not against a team like this.
Exactly, it's awfully difficult.
Bennett, single running back. Pass out to Rodney Wright. Nice cutback, 25 to the 20. Dive forward, has the first down to the 16-yard line. He is so explosive. Woo.
Well, that time what they did, they put him in the slot. He just kind of came back. I think Austin ran just a straight post right up the field, and Rodney came underneath. And you know, they like to do that a lot with him. They'll pitch it out to him quick and let him run. And that, I mean, heck, that's
a nice quick move on the defensive back. Oh yeah.
Exactly. So difficult to cover.
They have a lot of players that get more than it looks like they are going to get on a particular running play or receiving play. 1st and 10 for BHS. McCoy looking for the block, goes to the outside, falls out of bounds at the 15-yard line. It'll be a short gain. His Foothill did a great job stringing it out.
Steve Pignetta, again, doing an outstanding job. I just love the way he plays. He flies around. He's got a nose for the football, and he's, like I said, he's not very big. I don't think he goes about 150, but he will hit you.
You know, think about when you play defensively against BHS, you can make one great play and they burn you the next time.
That's what makes it so difficult, and that's why offensively there's so much pressure on this Foothill offense tonight. And again, we know why. Playing without Gerald Irvin, it makes it that much more tough.
Rodney Wright to the left for BHS. Lewis looking his way. Lost a high to the end zone, incomplete. Hurd with the coverage. I thought that Wright was running a pattern inside and broke to the outside, but excellent coverage by the Trojans.
Outstanding coverage that time. Very good job that time of making Rodney kind of have to maybe run a little bit too far for that ball. And I don't think Nate wanted to throw the ball up a little bit earlier, but saw the coverage, and they kind of stretched that play out. And just excellent coverage there.
It has to be so difficult to defend against Rodney Wright.
Well, it is. I mean, Rodney's not a very big guy, but he has tremendous athleticism. Yeah. Not only is he fast, but he can get off the ground.
He jumps very well
make
for
a play.
Size,
right.
Yeah. Receivers to each side for BHS. Wright to throw, looking left. Has time. His pass incomplete. High to Walker. High and to the left. I don't think even Wilt Chamberlain can catch that one. But excellent coverage by the Trojans.
And he just kind of strong-armed that ball. He threw it behind him. He zipped it, but he just threw it too high.
He's looking for a 6'7" receiver,
and
I think.
I'm a little surprised that they were throwing the ball with the success they've been having running. And again, we haven't seen Dugas yet, so we don't know if he's hurt. I mean,
they're saving him for the second half.
He'll
be fresh.
So I don't know if he's hurt or not.
There's no question we knew that BHS was going to throw on that play. They had receivers to each side, and it looked like a pass the whole time. Walker trying the field goal from 22 yards away. Line drives it, misses it badly.
And that's the possession Foothill needed defensively. And I think Bakersfield kind of played into their hands a little bit there, got out of sync trying to throw the football in the red zone a little bit. Not that they can't, because they can, but I think this is a definite momentum builder for Foothill. Now, if they don't turn the ball over, have a good possession, you close the half out, only 7 down, you feel great. Walker never got that football. I don't know if he got on top of it or something, but it looked
like he missed a PAT, kicked it wide to the left and missed that one, so it's been a tough game for him from the kicking standpoint.
But a big break for Foothill.
Oh, yeah.
Big break.
Certainly is. Ron Scott, the ball carrier, to the 20-yard line. BHS comes and swarms. They bring him down to the 22. Talk about speed by the BHS defense. Scott has not had a lot of run to room tonight. Sean Mackey and Tyler Polson making the tackle.
There's just so much speed on the field. I mean, I don't think Foothill's slow in their secondary by any means.
No.
I mean, with Scott and Hurd and Baker being the athlete he is, I mean, they can run to the football and tackle, but BHS, with their linebackers and the way they rotate people in with their depth, that's what keeps them so fresh. It's just so difficult.
It's 2nd and 7 for Foothill. 3:15 to play in the first half. Hurd on a reverse. Gets to about the 30-yard line. He'll be close to the first down marker. That's been their best run in quite some time for the Trojans.
That's the first time we've seen that inside kind of counter.
They usually do that quite a bit.
They do. And in the wing T, that's probably the most effective run once you start stretching people out. You come back inside, And that's a good play for Foothill. It's been an effective play for Irvin all year long,
oh,
too.
Yeah.
As they stretch him out, then they put him in the wing spot, and they counter and come back inside. That's where he's broken a lot of big runs.
The thing about Irvin, he breaks tackles, and he's got the great speed to turn a 10-yard gain into a 50, 60-yard run.
Yeah,
he makes a lot of things on his own.
He's tremendous.
Ron Scott, the ball carrier across the 30, has a first down. 1st and 10 for Foothill at their own 32. Ron Scott. So Foothill keeping the ball, clock running down. It's 2:31 to play in the first half. The Trojans in good shape, only down 14-7. Got to keep it that way.
Yeah, 2 short-term goals right now with about 2 minutes left in this second quarter. Your number 1 goal is if you can score.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't reach that goal, then go to number 2. Run the clock out. And go in at halftime 7 down, feeling very good about what you did in the first half.
There's been a gutsy performance by the Trojans tonight. Pitch back Ron Scott. Drives forward, maybe for only about a half-yard gain. As the wide plays have not worked effectively against BHS, the drillers string it out so well, and they're big players, as you mentioned, really swarm to the ball. Not just their linebackers. Lucas, who I think was number 2 in the defensive point standings for BHS, making the tackle.
Well, Foothill's going to have to do a better job of blocking up front. And what I mean in that down in that pit area where they can get a 3 or 4 yard run to kind of stretch BHS out a little bit. I mean, they're only getting 1, 2 yards with the exception of the counter run by Hurd for a first down. They haven't really done anything running the ball.
Scott in motion for Foothill. Baker on the draw to Puente. Hit and drop for a major loss. 5 yards or so. That play took a lot of time to develop, and BHS definitely smelled it out.
And I think that has a lot to do with preparation, too. I think Bakersfield High knew that they probably saw something when they run motion out of that pro set like they did that time, that they like to run the draw, and I'm sure they were expecting that play.
That play just didn't look good developing from the very start. 3rd and 13 for Foothill with 1:20 to play as it's beginning to get rather chilly here atop the press box in Memorial Stadium.
I love it. Get it cold.
I just saw a cobweb fly over our head.
There's quite a few up here, actually.
There are a number of them
the
up
lights
here.
up here. At least we don't have any bugs. There's no bugs
remember early in the year?
No bugs
The
today.
moth and the bugs. 1:20 to play, 14-7 in favor of BHS, and a very competitive football game, at least so far for the first 2 quarters. Foothill has, for the most part, eliminated BHS's big plays. They've had a few, which they always do, but they've done a great job of keeping the ball away from BHS.
They have, and they've been very effective offensively, not scoring points, but they've been effective just keeping the ball, moving the ball down the field a little bit, using time of possession so Bakersfield won't have the ball. And I think their defense is starting to play a little bit better. And in the second half, they're going to have to be the difference.
Baker rolling to his left, heavy rush to the 30, 35, 40, 1 man to beat, midfield 50. Miller does not knock him out of bounds. Stephen Baker inside of 40 to 36 in BHS territory. They fool the drillers.
He is their leader, and I talked about it earlier. He's got to make plays tonight. He's already done it kicking the ball, and now he takes it on his shoulders on the option.
Yeah.
Runs outside with nobody there. Fooled Bakersfield completely.
That bootleg, he had 1 man in the backfield that almost caught him. He got by him, and Bakersfield, their guys were looking the other way.
And if it wasn't for Kelly Miller, that would have been a touchdown.
Well, Stephen Baker makes a big play for Foothill with 1 minute to play in the first half, and now they have a shot, either field goal or touchdown territory. Out and up pattern as he's going for Bowler, single coverage, and I believe it's intercepted by Tyler Polson at the 5-yard line. It'll be first down for BHS.
That's a great play by Polson. That was just great coverage. The ball was underthrown, but it was just the coverage that made that happen. And again, you don't want to turn the ball over, but if you're going to turn it over deep in that part of the field so that Bakersfield has to go the length of the field. So really, Foothill hasn't hurt themselves unless they give up a big play before the half.
Well, they've been trying to hit Bowler against Miller and against Polson. It's been unsuccessful ever since that initial series when he caught, I think, 3 passes and caught the touchdown pass
They
for
actually
Foothill.
had more success coming underneath.
Well, I think they should go back to that.
They had a lot
more
more
success. The
success.
loop passes have not worked. Miller and Polson have covered them extensively well. I think they've tried about the last 4 or 5 times and not been successful. They just covered too well. Bad pitch in the backfield. Ball is loose. They're calling it a safety.
They called it a safety. I think what happened, Mark, is that McCoy's knee went down.
You're right.
So they called the safety. What a break for Foothill.
Yeah.
What a break.
Well, I thought in that sense maybe Foothill would recover the ball to the 1-yard line of BHS, but you're right. He fumbled a pitch, and then his knee hit the his knee hit down when he was in the end zone before he recovered the ball.
Well, I'll tell you what, the last 3 or 4 minutes of this football game, Foothill has turned it around. And we talked about their defense was going to have to make plays. Well, they just made one. Whether it's a turnover or not, they came up with the play.
And you're watching the Prep Football Game of the Week exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 16.
G E T. The Get Bus is the ride for me. From there to here and here to there. G-E-T goes everywhere. What can you do for cleaner air?
Ride to work with time to spare.
Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Here's what we say.
Get on the Get Bus, Get Bus, get on. Get on the Get on the Get Bus, Get Bus, get on. Get on the Get on the Get Bus, Get Bus, get on.
Coffee in the morning, get you on your way. For something cold any time of the day. Sounds real good, what do you say? It's easy, it's fast, we're on your way. Take a fast trip to the fast strip. Something to go and something to sip at the fast strip.
Take a fast trip today and pick up an ice-cold Super Guzzler or regular Guzzler, only at Fast Trip.
Well, Foothill picks up a safety on BHS and a pitch back to McCoy in the backfield. He fumbled the ball, and then when he retrieved it, his knee was down. So Foothill picks up 2 points. It's now 14-9 BHS, and the Drillers punting with 42 seconds left in the first half.
And this Foothill team showing why they're undefeated and why everybody picked them to be in this game against Bakersfield High School this year as the team, or one of the top 2 teams in the section.
Both are reception to the 40, midfield 50, and to the 43-yard line in BHS territory. And the Trojans have a chance to score again before the end of the half. Foothill is fired up. So are you?
I'll tell you what, it has been an interesting first half to say the least, because when Bakersfield got their first 2 possessions, they went right down the field and scored, made it look very easy. And all of a sudden the game started the complexity of the game changed a little bit. Foothill kind of started making some plays. Baker gets a big run. Then BHS fumbles, you get the safety, and now the momentum is all Foothill.
Well, BHS went to sleep on defense on that Baker run. He fooled the entire defensive team. One guy had a chance to catch him in the backfield. He eluded him. And then he goes down the sidelines, and there's maybe 2 or 3 defensive backs 20 yards away.
Well, it's a great call, too, from the Foothill sidelines, because they saw that they weren't able to run inside, and they know that everybody was pursuing inside. But they were trying to run some things off their wing tee inside. The tackles couldn't get anything outside, so they called a bootleg, and there's nobody out there. Unfortunately for Bakersfield, Miller ran him down.
I'm surprised that BHS was pitching the ball back inside their 5-yard line.
Well, in that situation, I mean,
I would hand the ball off.
They're probably kicking themselves too, but in that situation, McCoy's pretty sure-handed. He doesn't fumble very much. Dugas, so we haven't seen Dugas yet. Dugas is even more sure-handed than McCoy is. So, that becomes a factor in those little things in a big game are very important.
1st and 10 for Foothill. At the BHS 43, Baker rolling to his left, looking downfield, fires it. Oh, should have been caught by Hurd, incomplete at the 30-yard line. He would have had a first down to BHS 25. He thought about running.
But what they did was they ran kind of a rollout for him to get outside the containment.
That's what I like.
Because BHS has been getting a lot of pressure on him, and Hurd was wide. I think he was so open that he couldn't believe he was open, and he dropped it.
You have to concentrate, make those catches.
But we talked about Foothill running the stuff underneath, quick stuff underneath. That time, that play took a little bit more time to develop, but it was underneath, in front of it.
That has worked for them tonight.
Yes.
Worked in the initial series, and they started throwing out and up patterns, 40, 50 yards downfield. The BHS defenders covering the receivers one-on-one all the way. And I like that kind of play.
What a tremendous job, though, that Ned Permenter has done getting this team ready. I mean, when you lose somebody as valuable as Gerald Irvin, and everybody knows how good he is, being able to come in and play a first half like this is just unbelievable. I mean, mentally, you have to be so focused and so prepared, and they are. They're ready. I mean, they have really played, I think, as well as they could have expected to play in the first half. Although we know we got a second half to play, you would certainly love to be down 14-9 or possibly have a chance to take the lead instead of be down 21-7, which easily could have happened.
Remember the big pass play to Rodney Wright, who almost broke it all the way. Then, of course, Walker missed a 32-yard field goal attempt.
And only Foothill Speed, the secondary, saved that play.
That's right. 2nd down. Puente breaks loose inside the 40 to about the 37. I thought he had a chance to go farther, but BHS swarming quickly to the ball. John Coffey was shaken up and taken out of the game momentarily.
Here's your other weapon for Foothill, because Baker has such a great leg. You don't have to get the ball. Of course you'd like to score. I mean, that's a given. But in this situation, you want to make sure that you line the ball up correctly and get that field goal. if you can't get the ball into the end zone. So you're not desperate to score here because you got Baker, you got his leg, so you know you're secure in getting some points even if you don't get in the end zone.
That's right. They'd probably like to get the ball to about the 30-yard line in BHS territory, which would bring up a 47-yard attempt. You know he can kick farther than that, but they'll get as far as they can with 21 seconds to play in the first half. BHS 14, Foothill 9.
Well, I know one of the adjustments that Bakersfield High will make in the second half is that when Foothill, and they have gotten pressure on Baker, but when Foothill is going to throw the football, we have got to get penetration and pressure on him because I think their coverage has been very, very good. But we've got to get more pressure on Baker, get in his face, make him throw the ball early. We've got to get some sacks, and we've got to take back the control of the game up front. And if they do that, they'll put a lot of pressure on Foothill in the second half. Right now, Foothill is dominating them up front, although it's not the kind of domination that we've seen them have against other teams. But they're doing the little things, and they're playing extremely smart. And they're adjusting to some of the things Bakersfield's doing and having success.
Coach Ned Permenter on the field with his Foothill team. He's pumped up tonight.
Well,
being in this game at 14-9, and you know, you talk about football being a team game.
It
and
is.
Foothill is showing that tonight.
And I think your character carries over into the team. Gerald Irvin's character stays with his team. Just because physically he's not there doesn't mean his character's not there. He plays hard every down, and it's showing tonight.
Pointy and Scott behind Stephen Baker. Sprint out left. Oh, almost intercepted by Miller. Trying to throw the long out pattern to Bowler. Miller with great coverage once again. He saw it all the way.
That was dangerous because if he caught that, forget it.
70 yards the other way.
That was real estate. And he had a key to the front door when he got there. I mean, that was going to be 6. No doubt about it.
It was a fortunate drop for the Foothill Trojans. 4th down for Foothill. They will take a timeout. And we're sure in the situation that Baker will be lining up for a field goal attempt. Well, it looks like, I don't know, 57-yard attempt or so. He's warming up his leg.
Oh, they're definitely going to kick it here. And this is nothing for him. I mean, this is a drop in the bucket. He kicks these all the time in practice.
Of course, as you know, practice is different than in the game against BHS.
That's very true.
But he might as well take a shot at it with 15 seconds to play in the first half. We'll see where they line it up. Of course, Foothill wanted to get closer if they could, but unfortunately they didn't. But they have a chance at getting 3 more points tonight. They have to feel good only being down 14-9 and trying to make it 14-12.
I think in their situation right now, this is like having the lead. I really do. I mean, that might sound strange, but it's like they are leading instead of trailing because of the way that they've taken control of the second quarter and the way they play. And the emotional change in this game is all Foothill right now.
A 55-yard attempt by Stephen Baker of Foothill. 55 yards. Ball is down. Kick. Line drive. Is it far enough? It's good!
55 yards! Stephen Baker! Unbelievable! We told you he had a leg, folks. And you know he does it all the time. They tell us he kicks it farther than that in practice. Unbelievable. What a tremendous athlete. What a leader. And again, he made the big play to take Foothill down inside BHS territory. And he comes back, kicks a 55-yard field goal. I don't know what else he can do. Great kick.
Wow, 14-12 game with 9 seconds to play. In the first half, BHS with a slim lead over Foothill. And a great ball game tonight, as advertised.
And you know why colleges or college programs go out and try to get the best kickers? Because kickers change games. Special teams win games and can win championships. And that's why Mr. Baker has everybody's eye right now because, folks, he just kicked a 55-yard field goal in a high school football game. There are guys in college who don't kick 55-yard field goals.
Yeah, the longest field goal for the UCLA kicker, Merton, is 50. He had a 47-yarder today.
And we just found out that 55-yard field goal is the longest in the section this year.
What's the longest Beckett's kick? 54?
I think it is 54.
I know he tried one.
Tried for one over 60.
62
in
yards.
Our game against Stockton. So we've got some people who can kick the ball, but what a first half for Foothill, folks.
He has a great leg. Baker kicking off. That's a line drive. Unbelievable. He kicks a 55-yarder, comes back, and kickoff is over 70 yards there.
Well, he can do it.
And he plays quarterback.
He's got a great
and
leg.
plays safety once in a while.
He's just got a tremendous leg. And again, Foothill in this second quarter just taking control of this game. And those kinds of things emotionally affects the other team.
Sure.
It affects them because they know that BHS knows Foothill's without Urban. They know the emotional status of their team. But when they can come out and overcome that and play as well as they have, it can change the whole momentum of a game for a second half.
Look how pumped up Foothill has been ever since that safety. And Lewis takes a knee down as the clock will run out here in the first half. A great ball game at Memorial Stadium. It's BHS 14, Foothill 12. And you're watching the Prep Football Game of the Week exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 16.
Excuse me, is that tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years, specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction, with 3 great locations to serve you.
Teaching your teenager to drive doesn't have to be like swimming with sharks. Let the professionals at Precision Driving School help. Our instructors have the expertise to teach all aspects of defensive driving that help our students gain the confidence and skills needed to pass their driving test the first time. Precision Driving School, we make driving with your teenager as relaxing as a day on the beach. Classes are forming now, so call or visit us today on the corner of 19th and Oak.
If you've had an accident and are suffering from any of these symptoms, listen to your body and call us today. I'm Dr. Rudy Herrera of Mind and Body Chiropractic. Call us at 837-1505 in Bakersfield or in Delano at 721-1506.
If Windows 95, Pentium 133, the Internet and gigabytes have you all confused, then you should buy your computer at ARC Technology, your local computer connection with personal service for just the right equipment at the lowest prices and service after the sale. Check this fall special.
I'm Alex Rogers, owner of ARC Technology. Come and see for yourself why we have the warehouse stores beat, hands down, on price and service.
Don't you buy a computer until you check with ARC Technology, 3 blocks north of Costco at the Clock Tower.
At halftime from Memorial Stadium, it's BHS 14 and Foothill High 12. A great first 2 quarters, Bobby.
Oh, tremendous. A lot of fun and a lot of emotion from this Foothill team. Bakersfield High School, I'm sure, at halftime not happy, the coaching staff, with their performance in the second quarter. I think in the first quarter they played extremely well, did exactly what they wanted to do. But in the second quarter, it was all Foothill. BHS makes a turnover late in the second quarter. They fumble. Foothill gets a safety. And Foothill gets the ball back. Baker starts to take the game on his shoulders in the first half, has a bootleg, a naked bootleg. He runs for almost 60 yards, and then right after that kicks a 55-yard field goal, which is second longest in the section this year, and from what we understand that's the longest in the section this year, second longest all time. So incredible. Just a great performance in the first half by Foothill. Without Gerald Irvin, but emotionally, they are ready to go.
Stephen Baker had a touchdown pass in their initial series as he booms the ball through the end zone. And also, Dave Bennett had a 30-yard touchdown for BHS, and Daryl McCoy had a 7-yard touchdown for BHS in the first quarter. So 14-12, Foothill led at 7-0, 7-6. BHS took the lead at 14-7. Foothill crawled back with a safety, 14-9, and with a 55-yard field goal, 14-12. And we definitely do have a ball game, but remember, Bakersfield High School is very strong in the second half.
Well, yeah, they are. They just, because they can wear you down.
That depth will wear you down.
Yes, they will do that.
Just ask many teams they've played, and I won't ask them. McCoy across the 20 to maybe the 22-yard line.
And you know what's
looks like he's shaken up just a bit on that run, McCoy. I don't know what happened. And as we talked about, Dugas did not play it on the first 2 quarters. We don't know why.
And we have not seen Ty Hammond on the defensive end or the offensive end, which surprises us because up until last week we had the same rotation and Ty was playing a lot of defensive back, free safety, and we have not seen him. So we don't know, and we don't see him on the sidelines from what I'm told. He's not here. So I don't know what that situation is. At least we don't see him. He's not suited.
Well, McCoy did not take a big hit on that run.
No,
he just kind of rolled down.
Maybe he had somebody land on his ankle, or he might be a cramp.
Of course, we can't see from our vantage point here.
Right,
I was watching him throw him down. It didn't take a hard hit, and I didn't see anybody fall on him, but I could tell that he was in somewhat of pain when he fell to the turf.
Well,
he rolled over.
Hopefully it's not anything serious, because like we said, we have not seen Dugas yet in the first half. And again, we don't know what the circumstances are with Ty Hammond. So obviously Bakersfield not at full strength, although there was nothing in the media or in the newspaper this week that Coach Preston led on. That
Dugas is there in the sidelines, number 2.
But we have not
and he
seen
hasn't
him.
played at halfback the entire game.
But Coach Preston did not talk about being undermanned or having certain key players that were not going to play tonight. So we definitely don't know what's going on. And it looks like it's going to be an ankle or a knee, and hopefully it's just a cramp, but he's getting helped off.
And I do see Ty Hammond speaking with Dugas on the sidelines for BHS, number 6.
He is.
Both of them are here. The uniforms are white.
So we were missing.
They're on the sidelines.
So Ty Hammond is in uniform. We don't want to scare anybody else.
I just saw him, yes.
Yeah, we were informed earlier that he was not in uniform, but he is. So we don't understand what the situation is, but BHS going with the people.
Pitch back to Bennett. He is hit and dropped it at 23. Great tackle by number 77 for Foothill.
Legaretta, great
big
name.
hit on him.
Great name.
And you have to hit Bennett hard to put him down one-on-one.
Well, if you're going to tackle Bennett one-on-one, you better hit him and wrap up.
Him.
Yeah, you got to hit him hard, because he's going to come right into you. He's going to put the shoulder down, and he's going to try to get as much as he can. That's the first time on a sweep tonight that Foothill, a down lineman, has made that tackle.
That's
the first
right.
time.
Well, number 1 for BHS, Bobby, is coming to the game, James McCarroll.
I'm still really wondering what the situation is with Ty Hammond and why we have not seen him in this game tonight, even on the defensive end.
Nate Lewis, straight drop back, flags are down as the pass complete to Bennett, 25, 30-yard line, first down, stays on his feet, 30, midfield 50, it's a race, great speed, 40, 30, will they bring him down, straight arms, stays on his feet, touchdown BHS, but
I think
they have to bring it all the way back.
Mark, he is something special. You don't think he can run that fast, you don't think he's that elusive, and actually, the Foothill defender had the corner on him, had the angle to the corner, just straight on him, but they're going to bring it back. And just another great play by Bennett. And again, Foothill dodges another big bullet.
Illegal procedure against BHS as the flag was down even before the snap. You talked about the great straight arm he gave at the last 15-yard line. I mean, he does have exceptional speed when he gets to the open.
Well,
he was pulling away.
You could see that as Randy Carmelo had the angle on him as he ran to the corner, and he just straight armed him off and scored. But Bakersfield High hurt themselves late in the first half and gave Foothill points, actually ended up giving them 5 points, and now they hurt themselves on a big play, and that's not something that they're used to doing. This whole season, when they've made a big play, they've executed, and it's been a touchdown.
Well,
they haven't had many of those called back.
BHS has missed a PAT attempt tonight. They fumbled the ball in the end zone. On one of Foothill's series, they had a 15-yard penalty, followed by, I think, a 5 or 10-yard penalty. And they have the penalty here that brings back about an 80-yard touchdown run. They had a lot of little things, negative things tonight.
I'll tell you what, if I was a college recruiter, I don't care how big he is, or I couldn't care anything else other than that David Bennett can play football. He is, to me, he is one of the top fullbacks in all of the state. And I don't know if you're going to find kids that are, you might find them bigger and a little bit faster. But I don't know if you're going to find kids with the biggest heart or the intelligence that he has that combines with his athleticism. He's tremendous.
They're down for BHS. Lewis to throw. His pass complete to Rodney Wright, stays in bounds. 30, 40-yard line, breaks the tackle, stays on his feet. Finally dropped him at the 42. First and 10 for BHS. My brother was talking to me at halftime, and he's wondering why aren't they getting the ball to Rodney Wright more?
Well, they just did it. And that's why he's so dangerous. You know, Bakersfield just scores on an 80-yard run. They bring it back. And what do? They open right up again, throw the ball to Rodney Wright, and they pick up a first down just like that, like the other play never even happened.
Do you ever see him get tackled once he catches the ball? He always seems to elude a tackle or two and slip people and gain extra yardage.
He understands how to make people miss, and I think that's a very special quality in somebody who handles the ball as much as he does.
Pitch back to Bennett exclusively here in the second half. Cuts back 45, 47, and a flag is down from the defensive backfield.
And that might be a hold, and I believe it is going to be a hold probably on the drillers as they kind of continue to misfire.
It's against BHS.
It is a
One
hold.
of the drillers was very upset.
And right now, BHS kind of unraveling.
A lot of it's just mental mistakes.
It is. But again, when you come into a game like this and you get a situation like what happened to them in the first half where Foothill completely changed the momentum of the game, the emotion of the game, and then in the first half the way Foothill did, it can affect you. And during this season this year, Bakersfield, although they've had a couple of games, like the Centennial game where there was no score at halftime, they come out and they just open it up. Other than that game, they've basically, at the beginning of a second half, really blown people away. So this is a crucial part of the game for Foothill if they can continue to keep this up.
With McCoy getting hurt, Bennett is in the backfield exclusively for BHS. Lewis to throw, whips it out, incomplete at the 30-yard line to number 5, Gary Austin. The first attempt to him this evening. Nice coverage by Foothill, and the fans on the Trojan side are getting really pumped up now.
Well, Ed Hurd did a great job that time because he ran stride for stride, and he wasn't fooled at all. And again, Foothill coming up big defensively. We talked about in the first half, what is it going to take to have this momentum continue? Well, their offense came up with the big plays. Now their defense has got to make plays. They made a play when Bakersfield fumbled at the end of the second quarter and gave the ball back to their offense. Now what they've got to do is they've got to continue to make these kinds of plays. They've got to make the clock be a factor in this game.
And it has been so far. With 9:41 to play in the third quarter, Bennett, the single running back behind Nate Lewis. Rodney Wright, slot right for BHS. Pitch back to Lewis. Foot a great penetration, and they throw him down for a loss. Number 77, is that Legarreta?
Legarreta.
And his second
tell you
stop
what,
on Bennett on the series.
He has come out ready to play.
And he's not the only one in the backfield for Foothill.
He's
they really
made
smelled
two
it out.
big plays already on those BHS sweeps, something they had problems with in the first half. And even though it's not McCoy running, it is Bennett, who is just as effective, not as fast, but just as effective. But Foothill making the adjustments on the sweep on that BHS running game so far in the second half.
Walker wide to the left for BHS, ball on the right hash mark. 3rd and 20 for the Drillers. 9 minutes to play in the third. 14-12 in favor of BHS. Lewis, play action. Looking downfield, fires it to Rodney Wright. Knocked away at the last moment. Great play by Hurd. I thought that Wright was on to the races on the post pattern. Foothill comes up with a big play.
Another big play by the Foothill defense, and we've already talked about how important their play is. And Ed Hurd is starting to become a factor in this game in the defensive secondary. And before the game, we really didn't talk much about their secondary, although we talked about how good their defense is. But we did say they do cover the pass extremely well, and he's got the assignment in the second half of taking care of Mr. Wright.
That was a perfect knockaway at the last moment. Otherwise, Wright was off to the races. Another major play for Foothill. Nice punt by Walker. Comes to Hurd at the 27. Dukes right. But he's dropped to the 29-yard line.
And that was Rodney Wright.
Rodney Wright against
showing how valuable his skills are, playing the defensive end, making a one-on-one tackle. And that's a difficult thing to do against Hurd because he's good in his own right in the open field. But so far in in the second half, in the third quarter, it's been all Foothill, making the emotional plays and making the plays defensively. And again, they have great field position.
Yes, they do, at their own 30-yard line. 8:41 to play in the third quarter. The clock has been Foothill's ally tonight. We like to ground it out and use it up. Today, we would like to see them pass more of the short situations. Scott the ball carrier to about the 30, and it should be 2nd and 10 for Foothill. We liked it in the second quarter when Baker was rolling to his left and kind of stretching the defense out and throwing underneath. They were not as effective when he was throwing those out and up patterns. One-on-one against Miller and against Polson.
Well, they need quick hitters against Bakersfield because of Bakersfield's size and physical presence on the front lines.
How about another bootleg?
Well, I'm sure Bakersfield's expecting it too, but they need to make quick hitters happen because they don't have time to have they don't block well enough physically up front against Bakersfield to be able to have those plays develop.
Bakersfield had a lot of people at the line of scrimmage. Baker throwing deep, the bowler. He makes a catch on the BHS 41. Covered by Kelly Miller. BHS was coming on to play one-on-one coverage. They had about 8 people on the line of scrimmage. Baker makes a big play, finally catches Bowler with the reception. Nice catch.
And just when I say that they're not going to do a straight drop back and have a play take time to develop, they do that. Did a great job by the front 5 for Foothill. Give them all the credit. They picked up the blitz. They got one-on-one coverage, and it looked like Miller got fooled thinking it was a run, and that's the first connection. And I'll tell you what, a great job by Baker and an even better job by the guys up front.
Nice reception by Bowler. And 1st and 10 for Foothill. Hurd in motion. Went to the ball carrier, has an opening. 35-30, almost breaks the tackle. Great one by Kelly Miller, which saved a touchdown. Wow. Otherwise, Puente has 6 for Foothill. Nevertheless, 1st and 10 for the Trojans.
And if it wasn't for Kelly Miller coming all the way across from his corner position, that would have been a touchdown.
Great players
But
make tremendous plays.
Right now, Foothill is making intelligent calls offensively. They've kind of gotten themselves together. They kind of figured the puzzle out a little bit, and now the things that they're putting in are working. And the guys up front are really doing a good job blocking.
Nobody else could figure out the puzzle this year. Baker, good protection, fires it incomplete over the middle to Bowler. Trying to throw where those linebackers are. It'll be 2nd and 10 for the Trojans. Jake Lingle on the coverage, one of the outstanding BHS linebackers.
Tremendous coverage that time. He put the hit on him, and actually the ball had to be thrown perfectly or it would have been picked off, but great coverage.
Too bad on that last play that Puente couldn't have broken that tackle by Miller.
Well,
that's to the races. That is for Foothill.
That's a tough thing to do. When Kelly Miller wants to bring you down, he's going to tackle you. He's going to tackle you.
That was a nice tackle, though.
Yes, it was.
Open field. You have to do those type of things when you're a great player. Scott looking for the opening. But they drop him at the 25 and then bring him back. But forward progress will make it about a 3rd and 10 situation. Looked like he had more room there with BHS has covered up the real estate.
Manning and Diaz doing what they've done all year, pursue and attack and tear you up and bring you down. They are just really good.
Fly to the ball carrier.
Yes, they do.
It looks like there's an opening and it closes very quickly.
Well, again, we talked about how good BHS is defensively. You know, sometimes they bend a little bit, but when you get into the red zone, they are so difficult to score on, and that's where they're so tough.
It is 3rd and 10 for Foothill, 6:35 to play in the 3rd. Baker rolling to his right, he's a left-hander. Under pressure, throws it, complete! First down for Foothill to Bowler, who comes this way. Ryan Bowler with 2 excellent receptions on this drive for Foothill. Great throw by Baker under heavy duress.
And Lingo was right in his chest. They rolled to the right, which is even a tougher throw for a left-handed quarterback. And it was a timing pattern, and just a great throw had to be thrown right where it was. Great execution.
This guy's being recruited as just a kicker, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, there isn't much he can't do when he puts on a uniform, and he's showing everybody that tonight.
Is that in the family, too?
I think so.
1st and goal for the Trojans. Baker, straight drop back. Lofts it into the end zone. Over Boulder, incomplete. Single coverage by Miller, but he had to get rid of it because BHS was a-coming.
Yeah, they are, but Foothill's doing a much better job of blocking up front. I didn't really think, and I said this earlier, I didn't think Foothill could have a long developing type play, especially a deep drop, because of the pressure that Bakersfield.
They've had them.
Yeah, they've had. As a matter of fact, their last 2 pass completions have been that. Even on that little bit of a rollout, on the last completion, it was more of a deep drop, and they didn't even get outside on the play. But that front 5 for Foothill is doing a great job right now. They are blocking extremely well, and they've been the difference in this 3rd quarter.
Josh Ratliff and company. Inside handoff to Puente. Powers his way for a yard or 2 against that BHS defensive front. It'll be 3rd down and goal for Foothill at about the 7-yard line.
So if you're going to play pluses and minuses in this game, and that's how you're going to grade your team, and if you know that you've got to have more pluses, well, you're playing, if you get inside the 50-yard line, you're playing where Baker can kick. If you keep the game within 7 or 3, you know you're playing with your pluses, and that's what Foothill's got to do. Now, right now, that's what they're doing. They're down 14-12. But Baker, even if they don't get into the end zone, he kicks a field goal, you're up 15-14. Right now, the momentum of the game and the way Foothill's playing is all pluses for them. Well,
Foothill stuck to their game strategy throughout, and I think that they've worked it tremendously from the very onset of the game. They got out in front 7-0. Even though they were down 14-7, they stayed in the game emotionally. BHS helped them out somewhat, but Foothill pumped up defensively. We talked about their outstanding defense, and that's one of the reasons why they're 7-0. Even missing their great running back, their defense keeps them into the ball game.
Well, they've had to, and that's the key to tonight's game. Is the first 2 possessions BHS had, they drove right down the field and scored. And we said, if that continues, obviously we know the game's going to be over. But they have kind of bowed their neck a little bit and taken control back of the game.
Sponsor time!
We need to get the sponsors again, and yes, we will, as we talk about ARC Technology. And we want to say thanks to ARC Technology as we sit way up top, Bakersfield College Memorial
I'm putting
Stadium.
on my tuxedo now.
You are.
AJ's tuxedo.
AJ's tuxedo. And you know what else? I did drive to the game, so you know where I learned how to drive.
Precision driving school.
Exactly. You got to love that.
Well, I didn't take the bus tonight, but you can get on the get, right?
You can, and you know, before you get on the get, you need something to drink. So if you go to Fast Trip.
Oh, yeah.
And
Your favorite place.
Right, and then get on the bus, then you can come to the game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Now, that might be the greatest segue transition right there in history, is our producer, Kim's laughing at us because she knows we're trying to get to our sponsors. But we appreciate our sponsors, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do this, and we appreciate you and enjoyed having you aboard this year.
You know, they have a big Fast Trip store at the Four Corners of Shafter. which I used to go through all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think there's 4 streets that run right past it.
You gotta love it. There's plenty of Coke and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
3rd and goal for the Trojans at the BHS 7-yard line. 5:34 to play in the 3rd. Baker looking left, and it is knocked down as he's trying to throw it to Bowler. Knocked down by BHS defensive lineman. I don't know if it's Coffey or Dvorak who did the work.
That was Dvorak. Great play.
About 6'3" or 6'4".
Boy, talking about coming up big on that play.
Also a sponsor, Mind and Body Chiropractic.
Exactly. See, because I haven't had my adjustment, it kind of made made me forget. See, if I had had my adjustment, I could have remembered that. But that's what happens when you get busy. Sometimes you just don't take care of your body like you should. But if you go to Mind and Body Chiropractic, you don't have these kind of lapses, see? That's what happens.
Baker trying a 25-yard field goal attempt. Stephen Baker, 25 yards. This should be a chip shot for him. And a flag is down.
I think because he's kicking inside the...
Won't really hurt him too much.
I think because he's kicking inside the 40, you should have to kick right-footed. I don't think it's fair.
Hey, Foothill will take any points they can get in this ball game.
Well, that's what I'm saying, or what I said earlier is the key here. See, now you're playing at your strengths. You know Baker's got the leg. You know you're going to get 3. He's not going to miss. If he misses, I'll eat that piece of paper you're holding right there. It's because he's that good.
It doesn't taste very good.
No, it doesn't, but he's that good. So you're playing in your strengths. You know you're going to get 3 or you're going to take the lead, and you've dominated the 3rd quarter so far.
31-yard attempt by Stephen Baker of the Foothill Trojans. Ball is down. He powers it up, and it is good. You don't have to eat the paper.
Well, I knew I wouldn't. That's why I picked the paper. Baker's automatic. You can forget it.
Wow. 5:24 to play in the 3rd quarter. It's Foothill 15, BHS 14. What a ball game we have tonight.
And I don't think many folks coming into this game gave Foothill a chance to win this game. I was skeptical just because of the fact that I knew how much pressure BHS was going to be able to put on that Foothill defense, and the offensive Foothill without their main weapon, Gerald Urban. How were they going to respond? How were they going to react? Well, Stephen Baker has taken care of that himself tonight. He has shown tremendous leadership. He has taken this team and kind of put him on his shoulders and said, hey, guys, we can do this. We're a team. We know we're out without Gerald, but we can do this together. It's been a team all year long. And right now, for the last 2 quarters, it's been all Foothill.
Still plenty of time left in the game for BHS to do some of their magic. And Rodney Wright is one of those players who can accomplish that, as is Dave Bennett, and the standing back deep for BHS. Miller and Wright are the deep men on the punts, and Bennett and Wright on the kickoffs. Of course, they haven't had a chance to run them back with Baker kicking.
As quickly as we say how good Foothill's been tonight, Bakersfield can take the lead in one play.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I never like to say too much.
In one play, they can
We've
take the lead.
seen it happen so often. Baker kicks it deep into the end zone. In high school ball, you cannot run it out. And Wright has not had that privilege tonight. He usually does a few times during the game, but of course not too many times since teams don't normally score that much against BHS.
Well, and because Foothill's offense has been a little bit more effective and their defense has given them better field position, they haven't had to punt the ball. But when they did in the 1st quarter, Baker was just as effective, kicking the ball away, kicking it out of bounds, picking his spots, and so Rodney never got a chance to handle the ball. Actually, Miller handled the ball twice in the 1st quarter, and that was it.
Dukas into the ball game for BHS, number 2. Running to left side, driven out of bounds at the 20-yard line by a slew of Foothill Trojans, number 44, Schenkel and company. Canet over there also for Foothill, as usual.
Always. He's going to always be around the ball. Right now, Foothill's defense doing a great job of stringing it out. If they don't turn it in, they're not allowing the BHS running backs to get outside. And this is our first look at Dugas tonight, who has been the starter all season long. Although they alternate, this is our first look at Dugas, so we don't know why he hasn't
played. I figured they were saving him for the 2nd half, but the only reason he came in was the fact that McCoy got hurt.
Yeah, so we don't know if it's disciplinary. We really don't know, but he's in the game now.
His uniform is definitely white. Bennett, inside handoff to about the 25-yard line, but still 3rd down and maybe 5 for BHS. So a big play again for the Foothill defense.
Well, they've been up to the challenge the last 2 quarters. Let's see if they can come up with another play. And they're going to have to come up with plays in the defensive secondary where they've been very, very good over BHS's last 2 possessions.
Yes,
so they're going to have to do a good job of covering. And if the ball's thrown in front of them, they have to do a better job of tackling, not allowing Rodney to get out and run.
And Rodney is to the right, covered by Hurd for Foothill. The single running back is Dave Bennett behind Nate Lewis. Walker wide to the left. Lewis, play action. Under pressure, throws it deep for Rodney Wright. Makes the catch. Is it a catch at a 45-yard line in Foothill territory? Yes, it is. 1st and 10 for BHS. Lewis lofted it out there, right, ran underneath it. Foothill thought he was out of bounds. The official says no way. It is a reception. 1st and 10, BHS.
That is a great catch.
Beautiful.
He gave all of it on that one. Stretched his body out, made a great catch, and what a great throw by Lewis.
Oh, beautiful. You never give up on it. You never give up on the ball when you're wide receiver.
Because he had to throw the ball to the sideline because the coverage was actually pretty good. And as soon as Rodney saw the ball go in the air, he turned on the jets and just got out there and made a great catch.
There's probably no other receiver that can make that kind of catch. Makes all kinds over the middle, deep. Sprawls his body out. Dugas, a ball carrier, running inside the 45 to about the 43. And Foothill saying hello to him.
Greeting him with a nice hat. But the thing that Foothill's done since the first quarter is they've played the run much more effectively, and that's because the guys up front are doing a better job of getting penetration, and they are pursuing, and they're something they didn't do in the first quarter when BHS drove down and scored the first 2 times they had the ball, is they're pursuing and getting more than one person. They're gang tackling, pursuing as a team, playing with a lot more emotion, and doing a better job with their reads defensively and getting to BHS.
4-3 defense for Foothill. Lewis to Dugas, trying to go to the outside, to the 40-yard line, puts his head down, and gains a few yards. It'll be 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4 for BHS. As Foothill came up, Schenkel and company for the Trojans. Dugas trying to turn on the afterburners. It's tough when you don't play the entire first half and you got to come out there in the second half.
Daniel Ligaretta, 6'2", 250, and folks, he was running out there like he was a tailback,
Number
chasing that play
77.
down. He's played an outstanding game so far tonight.
One of those key 3rd down plays for BHS and also for the Foothill defense. 3:20 to play in the 3rd. Lewis looking over the defense. Play action. On this side, looking for Walker. The ball is giving to number 1. McCarroll for BHS has the first down, stumbles inside the 20 to about the 17. He had 2 receivers on this side. He threw to the short man. And now BHS coming out throwing a little bit more in this series.
And doing things underneath. They had the big play that stretched the field a little bit to Rodney, and they come back inside, throw to the slot man. In that last play, which was McCarroll, and we haven't called James's number yet tonight, but they have so many weapons, sometimes you could have the other guys they can throw to.
He came into the game when McCoy got hurt and played briefly at the halfback slot, and they put him back at the wingback, which he is now. Now he's in motion. Nate Lewis, the quarterback. Dugas running hard inside the 15. Flag is down as he drives forward to about the 9-yard line. Didn't look like he was running that hard, but Foothill was definitely arm tackling that time.
And that is going to be something that hurts Foothill. That's just a poor job of tackling. Good job by Dugas running the football, but nobody wrapped up that time. That's not something that Foothill's been doing over BHS's last 3 or 4 possessions, but nobody wrapped up, and Dugas just kept going.
He was kind of just running with both arms around the ball, and I thought there's someone laying in there, and Foothill was trying to throw him down and got a piece of the face mask and helped out BHS even more. 1st and goal situation inside the 5-yard line for the Drillers.
Automatic for BHS this year when they get in this area.
Lewis to Dugas, cuts back, stays on his feet, close to the goal line. And Hurd and a few other Trojans were in the backfield, but couldn't bring him down. He kind of sliced in between them and almost had a chance to take him to the end zone.
Almost impossible to stop the Drillers right here. And a good answer back by Bakersfield High School after McCoy goes out of the game, and we don't know exactly what the injury is to him, but after losing McCoy, Dugas comes in after not playing at all in the first half, and BHS comes down the field right back and is getting ready to score, but it was Rodney Wright's great catch that made this drive possible. He kept it alive.
He usually does. He's wide to the right for BHS, Nate Lewis at QB. Dugas, Foothill swarms on him, drops him for a loss. They definitely smell out that play. He ran into about 6 Trojans.
And Brandon Schenkel getting in there, making the hit. Ratliff was in there, and everybody else. And Foothill bowing their neck a little bit, not going to allow BHS to get in easily. Going to make it tough for them and use that clock. Continue to use the clock.
1:30 to play in the 3rd quarter. 15-14 Foothill. BHS with a 3rd and goal situation outside the 1-yard line. And we have Wright and Walker to the left for BHS. Dugas, single running back behind Lewis. Nate to Dugas, off the left side, into the end zone. Touchdown, BHS.
Just too much talent. It's too difficult to stop them right there. They're too big up front, and they do too good of a job of blocking. And that time, they kind of ran the ball out of a passing set because they had a slot man out there, which was Rodney Wright, kind of made it look like they were going to throw the ball, but then just came back off tackle with a quick hitter for Dugas, and he scored. And BHS right back in this game, that's why they're so dangerous, that's why they're so difficult, and that's why they're so good. Because they can come right back and do that to you.
They usually do. I think most of the time this year they've scored when a team has scored against them. I guess they get mad. Dugas on the 2-point conversion. Foothill in the backfield and drops him 2 yards shy of the 2-point conversion. So we have a 20-15 game, so Foothill is within a touchdown of BHS, and a touchdown will put them ahead. And a very unusual score at 20-15.
It is, but we talked about that kind of a score would favor Foothill. You know, that maybe that kind of a weird score, keeping the game close. So right now, even though Bakersfield just scored and came back and kind of took control of the line of scrimmage a little bit more, something they hadn't done in the second quarter, and I think they've kind of shifted the momentum a little bit, but I still think Foothill has the momentum in this game right now. Now their offense is going to have to continue to do what they've been doing for the last 2 quarters. They've got to continue to put pressure on the BHS defense.
It appeared on that drive that the Foothill defense seemed a little bit tired.
Well, the big play
tackling was very weak.
Well, the big play by Rodney Wright makes a difference, and sometimes they can take the wind out of you a little bit. And you're right. As this game goes on, BHS will continue to wear down Foothill because they have more players and they're deeper, and that is a factor.
They weren't sticking like they were earlier in the game.
And it's a factor that every time you play the Drillers, their depth is going to be the difference in a game. And because they're so deep and so big, they count on that late in games to wear you down, and they know they're going to be able to get the ball in the end zone.
Of course, why should I be surprised? I'm the one that said to watch out in the second half. BHS is a strong second half team. In games this year where they played a little flat and lackadaisical in the first half, they generally blew out teams in the second half. Against Centennial, 0-0 after 3,
right.
They win the game 21-0.
But I still feel like that the emotional side of the emotional lift or the momentum is still with Foothill. Even though Bakersfield just scored, I still feel that Foothill has the momentum in this game because it's only 20-15. Now, if it was 21-7 or 28-7, it'd be a different story. But Foothill has kept the game close.
I was somewhat surprised that BHS was able to score that easily just on the ground. Now, they had a big play to Rodney Wright, but like we said, throughout most of the game, Foothill has been able to stuff out those plays, and it didn't look like Dugas was running that hard on many of them, but I guess they were getting good push from the offensive line.
Well, when we go back and look at BHS, how they've hurt themselves tonight, not a characteristic of their team this year, being at 7-0 and the #1 ranked team in the section. They don't turn the ball over. Bennett scores on an 80-yard great play on a pass. They have to bring it back. They fumble inside their 5-yard line. Foothill gets a safety, and then Foothill gets the ball right back after that, and Baker kicks his field goal. So they've hurt themselves tonight.
Ron Scott fumbles at about the 24-yard line. BHS says they have it. And they do. On the very first play, Ron Scott, right tackle, fumbles, and those things happen in regards for BHS. You know, they take control of the game, they go ahead in the game, they score after Foothill scores, come up with a big turnover deep in the territory.
If I said the emotion was Foothill's, it just switched. Because a play like that, inside their 30-yard line, and Foothill has not turned the ball over tonight, and that's the first time they've made a mistake like that, but you cannot make a mistake in your own territory against the Drillers in a game like this.
We talk about football being a 4-quarter game.
It's too crucial.
Bennett running hard inside the 20 to about the 19. And BHS, their eyes have lit up as they see a golden opportunity to add more points on the board as they come up with a big turnover on the fumble.
Well, we said turnovers and field position would be keys in this game. For Foothill, that's been the case through 3 quarters. For Bakersfield, not necessarily the situation really, although they did fumble, but now it becomes a big factor for them. Foothill turns the ball over, they get a turnover, and now they have field position.
And the Foothill defense has to rise to the challenge, even though they're getting tired here in the second half. Play action, Lewis to throw it, man wide open, that is Rodney Wright, touchdown, Drillers.
And that's a tremendous job by Nate Lewis. They faked the pitch like they were going to run the sweep, and that brought everybody up. Play action, and Rodney just kind of ran across the middle of the field. He was wide open, and Nate Lewis delivered a perfect ball like he's been doing all year long. And right now, just like I said earlier, Foothill had the momentum, and in what, 6 plays? 6 plays? Just that quick, Bakersfield takes it right back.
Well, that's a mark of a great team, and BHS, like so many outstanding teams, can score quickly. They take advantage of your mistakes. 2-point conversion attempt, handoff to Dave Bennett, dives forward for the 2 points. 2 or 3 guys hit him 4 yards away from the goal line, and as usual, he dove forward.
Well, he always falls forward. He has that ability, but more importantly, Bakersfield High School coming out in the second half and answering everything Foothill has. And the turnover has really hurt this Foothill team early in the second half. And that's not something that they can afford to do. Getting down like this hurts them. They need to keep the game close. It's going to be tough.
It's hard to believe it's already BHS 28, Foothill 15.
Because Foothill's played so well and because they've carried the emotion of this game since the second quarter. And just like that, BHS can come right back and play. And really, I think the key to those last two scores was Rodney Wright's big catch on that third down play. He doesn't make that play, maybe that drive doesn't go, maybe they don't go down and score, and the complexion of the game changes. But Rodney took care of that.
Remember against Centennial, he fumbled a punt early in the game, didn't seem to be into it, and then he took about an 8-yard pass from Wright, made a couple moves, went the distance for the score, came back, caught a long pass for a score, turned it around.
Yeah.
Made a couple big plays and turned it around. It was a 0-0 game. And BHS wins 21-0, and the game is actually much closer than that.
Well, you've talked about it. You've talked about it since we started. Bakersfield High is a great second-half team because of their depth and size and skill people. They put so much pressure on you, and I think they put pressure not only on your defense, but on the other team's offense. You've got to match what they do, and it puts so much pressure on you. And as well as Foothill has played tonight, they're under the gun right now.
Just like we said, BHS can score so quickly. Bowler on a return across the 20-23. Swarmed over by drillers, and the challenge has been made to the Foothill Trojans, down 28-15 with 13 seconds left in the third. BHS says, come on, can you stay with us?
Yeah, but they're going jabs right now, and BHS has had a stronger jab so far in the second half, but the turnover by Foothill is what killed them.
Oh, yeah.
You turn the ball over, and you get it right. You're still okay, even though Bakersfield came back and took the lead, but you turn the ball over and kind of give them a gimme. You give them field position, you give them the red zone, they're going to score. You didn't make it difficult on them. You had a mental lapse. And you allowed BHS to kind of take back over the game. And right now, that's not something Foothill can afford to do in this game.
Well, you can't have a turnover inside your 20-yard line, especially after BHS scores and you fumble the kickoff. That's just too much happening in a short span of time. After 3 from Memorial Stadium, it's BHS 28, Foothill 15. You're watching a high school football game of the week exclusively on Time Warner Cable, Channel 16.
If Windows 95, Pentium 133, the internet and gigabytes have you all confused, then you should buy your computer at Arc Technology, your local computer connection with personal service for just the right equipment at the lowest prices and service after the sale. Check this fall special.
I'm Alex Rogers, owner of Arc Technology. Come and see for yourself why we have the warehouse stores beat, hands down, on price and service.
Don't you buy a computer until you check with Arc Technology, 3 blocks north of Costco at the Clock Tower.
If you've had an accident and are suffering from any of these symptoms, listen to your body and call us today. I'm Dr. Rudy Herrera of Mind and Body Chiropractic. Call us at 837-1505 in Bakersfield or in Delano at 721-1506.
Teaching your teenager to drive doesn't have to be like swimming with sharks. Let the professionals at Precision Driving School help. Our instructors have the expertise to teach all aspects of defensive driving that help our students gain the confidence and skills needed to pass their driving test the first time. Precision Driving School, we make driving with your teenager as relaxing as a day on the beach. Classes are forming now, so call or visit us today on the corner of 19th and Oak.
We're at the start of the fourth quarter between BHS and Foothill, with the Drillers holding a 28-15 lead. Screen right to Puente for Foothill. BHS strings him out, throws him out of bounds to the 27-yard line, and a late flag comes down.
Jake Lingo, you can't play that play any better than he played it. Took on the blocker out there and actually got a hand on Fuente, and what a great job. And now this is going to be against Foothill. And was it a hold? I believe it was a hold.
Yes, it was.
And so now, at the crucial part of the game, Foothill's starting to make some mistakes now, where earlier in the game, Bakersfield made mistakes. And like you said, Mark, this is a four-quarter game. And normally this is where BHS gets you. And they take control of the game at this point. And as well as Foothill has played, and they've played extremely well, it's getting very difficult. And of course we know the field position is going to be crucial. Now they're inside their, going to be inside their 10-yard line, and it's getting a lot more difficult for Foothill.
Let's face it, the fourth quarter is where most games are won and lost. Now sometimes when you play a much inferior team, you're going to win the game actually earlier. But when a game is within a touchdown or 10, the game is won and lost in the fourth quarter. You got to play 4 quarters.
Well, with your Foothill, I talked about pluses and minuses, and Foothill played within their pluses. They had all pluses in the first half: field position, time of possession, turnovers. Their defense stepped up big. Well, now in this fourth quarter, all of a sudden, there's more minuses that start to creep in, and it negates all those positive situations that you've had. Your field position's poor. You have a turnover that kills you because you're only down 20 to 15, and you're still okay. And your offense has been moving the ball, so you can answer back. But when you don't
give your offense a chance to do anything. It's just taken away from you.
You fumble, and that really kills you. That one play right there changes the whole complexity of the game.
It certainly does, and especially since it comes after a touchdown by BHS to take the lead.
Yep,
so they gain momentum from their touchdown, and then you fumble on the first play from scrimmage inside your 20-yard line, and of course BHS 100% of the time is probably going to score, if not a field goal or touchdown.
Well,
they're just going to take advantage of an opportunity.
Well, they're too good down there. They have too many weapons, and they do too good of a job blocking up front. And Nate Lewis, showing his leadership with this club in the second half, bringing them back. And again, we haven't seen Ty Hammond tonight. It's been Nate Lewis all the way. And I think he's been very impressive tonight. When you're a good team, you must take on the challenges of the other team. You must take on their emotion, their momentum, their plays, their big plays, and you must take the game all the way down to the last 2 minutes if you have to, and then win it for your team. And Nate Lewis has shown tonight that he has turned into the leader on this football team. He's made plays with Rodney Wright that have changed this game.
He's very smooth back there. Inside handoff to Puente, across the 15 to about the 16. And a BHS defense simply flying to the football now as they're beginning to take over control of this game. Long situation, 11:27 to play, 28-15 BHS, 3rd and 16 for Foothill. Definitely a passing down, and they threw effectively in their first drive of the game. And in the early stages of the third quarter, you kind of wonder if they want to throw down deep in their territory, but it's...
Well, you really don't have a choice, Mark.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got to open up and get some points here. You don't want to have a turnover, but you've got to play. I mean, you've got to get out and make some things happen.
Bowler wide to the left, I formation for Foothill. Ron Scott, the ball carrier, runs into a granite wall of BHS Grillers.
And they did what you thought they were going to do. They played it safe, which, maybe at this point, all they're saying is, hey, let's continue to keep the game close. Let's don't make a turnover or have a sack to give them bigger or better field position.
But you have Rodney Wright back there. He's very capable, returning a punt 60 yards for a score.
Well, that's what I mean. You're not playing in your pluses anymore. You're in your minuses all the way. Do you know what I mean? It's now Foothill is playing where BHS wants them to be.
That's right.
And it's very difficult for them now, and it's going to be very difficult for them for the rest of this game.
Back in their own territory inside
Bakersfield
the 20.
has a turnover.
Baker kicks it away from him to Kelly Miller, who lets it drop, takes a Foothill bounce to the 30, and they will down it there. So nice punt by Baker, kicked it away from Wright.
That is a great kick, Mark.
And it was kind of floating. We have a late flag, probably personal foul against somebody.
And I think that's going to probably go against Foothill, and if it does, it just takes away the great kick that Baker just made.
I don't understand why players would be talking or getting involved with something like that after they have a great play by their punter.
And it is. It's against Foothill.
They're down 28-15, and they have a golden opportunity there.
And what else can Baker do tonight that he hasn't already done? I mean, he has been tremendous.
He had the right spin on the ball where it went over Miller's head, and the roll was perfect. 52-yard punt, personal foul against Foothill.
And it just negates that because you lose 15 yards off that kick and give BHS even better field position. You back them out of there. Now you give them great field position. And so that's a mental lapse, and Foothill's that's the second one. It's hurt them in the second half so far. And right now they're in the hole, and they can't afford to have this happen.
Allowing frustration to settle in a little bit.
But a lot of that, too, comes back to what you said earlier, Mark, in the fatigue factor. When you go both ways and you don't have the depth, it's tough, and you get a little tired, and you get frustrated, and those things happen.
And BHS knows it. Lewis, Dugas, 45, hit and dropped. Nice penetration by Foothill, Legaretta, Schenkel and company.
Legaretta's been outstanding tonight. He has played extremely hard. He's been in on the majority of the tackles and played extremely well. I mean, really done a great job inside, as has Josh Ratliff, playing his heart out on both sides of the ball. And I really do think for the first 3 quarters that Foothill front four did an outstanding job, but they're just kind of getting worn down a little bit.
Second down for BHS. Bennett, the ball carrier, stays on his feet across midfield to the 49. Third and about 4.5. Pineda with a tackle for Foothill. 9:32 to play in the game. 28-15 in favor of BHS. Highland plays BHS next week.
That's going to be a fun game.
The Scots are 7-1 this year, undefeated in the SEYL. I love their team. Jeff Dover at quarterback, a tremendous year, a fine runner and passer. Ethan Beck, Mr. Everything. Headland, Ross Marchbanks, Ramon Blackman, who caught a pass last night.
Thomas.
Oh, yo.
I mean, it goes on and on.
Fullback linebacker Thomas, who had some big defensive plays, who scored a touchdown. Lewis throwing, complete, number 5. Austin, first down for BHS at the 37-yard line in Foothill territory. Highland has a lot of weapons. We kind of wonder if they can match up with BHS in the trenches, though.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen with the Highland. This is what I think will happen with the Highland BHS game. Offensively, Highland's going to score. They are going to score. Foothill came into this game kind of undermanned without Urban, and that changed how they had to play the game, although they played extremely well tonight, but they're undermanned. In that Highland game, Highland has a lot of weapons on offense, and their defense has proven to everybody that they can stop you. That is going to be one heck of a game.
Ross Marchbanks, Rod Headland are the defensive ends. The pass complete to Rodney Wright to 30, makes a move, 25-20, spins, 20, fumbles the ball. Does BHS or Foothill have it? The Trojans say they want it.
And they got it back.
It is Foothill's ball. Rodney Wright coughs it up. And Foothill with a reprieve at their own 17-yard line.
But it might be a little bit too late, though. It might be too little too late because field position is not in their favor, even though they've gotten the ball back. Bakersfield High playing at this point in the game with their defense. They've still got Foothill buried deep in their territory. So really nobody hurt with Bakersfield, although they don't want to turn the ball over. But that really doesn't hurt them because their defense is playing so well.
Get on the get. Geo, go. Get ready, set. For a whole month of price that lasts, all you gotta do is get a flash pass.
The Get Bus is so easy to do.
I catch up on my reading too. Yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Here's what we say.
Get on the get bus, get bus, get on. Get on the get bus, get bus, get on. Get on the get bus, get bus, get on.
Coffee in the morning, get you on your way. For something cold any time of the day. Sounds real good, what do you say? It's easy, it's fast, we're on your way. Take a fast trip to the fast trip. Something to go and something to sip at the fast trip.
Take a fast trip today and pick up an ice-cold Super Guzzler or regular Guzzler, only at Fast Trip.
Tuxedo from AJ's?
Let AJ's get you noticed. A Bakersfield tradition for over 25 years, specializing in Pierre Cardin, Christian Dior, Oscar de la Renta, and Calvin Klein. AJ's Tuxedo Junction, with 3 great locations to serve you.
First down for Foothill. Out and up pattern. Baker trying to throw it deep. And BHS, Polson and company, closest to it. Bowler, the intended receiver. Great coverage by the Drillers.
And I think he broke that pattern off. I think Baker wanted him to run more of a post, and he kind of came inside and actually run it. He wanted him to run more. He did want him to run a post, and he ran the flag pattern, and he broke it off early. And you know, it's tough at this point in the game. You've played so well tonight. You've done so many good things if you're Foothill, and one turnover at a crucial point in the game just turns the game around. And you're not able to do the things you want to do when it gets late in the game because you are playing without Gerald Urban.
Baker throwing the pass over the middle, intercepted by Kelly Miller at the 45-yard line. As he threw that ball over the head of Hurd, Miller kind of playing back in center field, makes a diving reception,
and that's
interception.
Kind of fitting, isn't it, the way he plays, and for him to do that at the end of the game tonight. And as well as he's played and the big plays he's made defensively, it's fitting for him to get a pick late in the game. But take nothing away from Mr. Baker. He's been outstanding tonight. And this whole Foothill team, we take our hats off to them. They have played extremely well. They were well prepared. They just ran into a BHS team that's playing extremely well with a lot of depth, executed well in the second half, and without Gerald Urban, it made it extremely hard later in the game to make up for the mistakes and the things that happened in the course of the game, and just too much BHS.
Baker up the middle across the 45 to about the 41. In a lot of games for Foothill, they've kept it close. Their games have been close, and Irvin has broken off a big play late in the ball game. So they haven't blown out a lot of teams recently, the Trojans, but they have won 7 games this year because of their strong defense.
Right, well, and again, like you said, Mark, the games have been close, and then Urban makes the big play. Well, they didn't have Urban tonight.
Yeah.
And even though right after the turnover, Bakersfield scores that second touchdown within 3 minutes, that's normally when Urban would make a big play, or you can give the ball to him when they went ahead 20-15 before the other touchdown, and he makes a big play.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know he's valuable, and you know it's tough for them to play without him tonight. But what a job they've done, and what a season they're having, and it's not over yet.
If you've got friends or family overseas, or you work or travel internationally, you know that videotapes from many other countries won't play in your home VCR. Time Warner Productions can help with state-of-the-art technology that can convert any foreign VHS tape into a tape that can play in your home. And as always, we provide pro-grade videotape at no extra charge. For $29.95, duplicate to or from any foreign format from any country in the world. From corporate video duplication to family videos, you'll always get the best copy at Time Warner Productions.
BHS with the ball 3rd and short at a Foothill 37-yard line. Lewis on a keeper has the first down. 1st and 10 for BHS as the clock will begin to run down. They haven't started yet, and they will now. 2:41 to play. The first keeper of the night for Nate Lewis, the BHS quarterback. We have not seen Ty Hammond at all this evening. Not at quarterback and not on defense. Now he has been suited up. He's number 6. Adrian Dugas did not play until the second half for the Drillers. And he only came to the game when Daryl McCoy was injured. And we're not sure about the extent of that injury. But a lot of players have contributed for BHS this evening. James McCarroll, number 1, came to the game when McCoy got hurt. Played a little wing back and tailback. Of course, a fine effort by Tyler Polson, a quarterback. Kellen Miller doing his usual splendid job as ran the ball once tonight offensively. Has an INT. Great coverage on Bowler throughout the evening. A couple of touchdown-saving tackles, one on Stephen Baker in the first half, the other on Puente in the second half. Pitch back to Kelly Miller to the 30-yard line, makes a nice move, 25, and dropped to the 24. Kelly Miller, who has to be tired, running very well from the offensive backfield position. Number 22, as BHS using a lot of people here in the second half. Clock down to 2:05 remaining. It's 2nd and short for the Drillers. Miller looks like his legs are fresh. As Rodney Wright comes out of the game, had 1 touchdown pass tonight, I guess about 5 receptions overall, but I'm just guessing. But every reception was a big play, which he does quite a bit of. Inside handoff to number 45 for BHS, Kevin Weigel. And he's up to about the 20-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Drillers. And the clock stops momentarily when they change the chains at a clock running at 1:35. BHS intent on letting it run down as Lewis comes back to the huddle. A 20-15 game, and Foothill has to feel very good about their performance tonight. Not only defensively, but offensively. Without Gerald Irvin, it was a team effort by the Trojans. They played their hearts out and led a couple of times in the game. Miller at the middle, stays on his feet inside the 10 and to about the 8-yard line. He almost took it all the way. It'll be 1st and goal for BHS. 1:10 to play in a ball game as they start the clock once again. Foothill, wanting to show some pride, would like to keep BHS out of the end zone. But when you're tired defensively, sometimes it's very difficult. When you've been pounded all game long by the big BHS offensive line. And their backups are 270 and 280 pounds. And they pound you as well as the starters. 45 seconds to play. Lewis will take a knee down, and that will probably be the final play of the game. As the Drillers showing excellent sportsmanship. 32 seconds. 28-15. BHS will now be 8-0 for the year. And another win in the Southeast Assembly League. The Drillers play Highland next week and close out their season against Arvin. So BHS now 2-0 in the SEYL. Foothill with their first loss in league. Highland next week playing BHS, 7-1, and they have a couple of victories in SEYL. So big matchup next week between Highland and BHS. Foothill goes to Centennial for a non-conference game. And then the final week of the season, Foothill will play Highland in the final game of the regular season. Here the score, 28-15. It's a final from Memorial Stadium. I'm Mark Heffernan. Bobby Sharp has some interviews down on the field with Coach Pat Preston and company for BHS. Be sure to stay tuned for the highlights, Prep Football Highlights, presented by KGET TV, Channel 17.
The field after Bakersfield High School's big win over Foothill, and if you hadn't noticed, we're going to pan across, and we've got the big offensive line from BHS. We've been talking about them all year long, and I know, fellas, I'm going to go down the line, let you introduce yourselves. I know all year long you hear Dugas and McCoy and Bennett and Lewis and Rodney Wright, but we know the strength of this team, and we know what goes on down in the trenches, and it belongs to you guys and the great job that you did tonight and what you've done all year long. First of all, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves, and then we'll talk a little bit.
Daniel Tapia, right tackle. David Lomley, right guard. Scott Peterson, right guard. Joe Bergman, center. DJ Barthelmess, left guard. Elise Zajac, left tackle.
I don't know how much weight we've got down here, guys, but we've got a lot. And these guys have done a tremendous job blocking this year. I think the difference in what you guys have done this year, I think, personally, and I'll try to get to you guys as I can, is how you guys pass block this year. You guys have always run the ball extremely well, done a great job with your run blocking, but I think the difference in this year is your balance and how you guys have pass blocked. Talk a little bit about that and how that has affected your guys' team.
Well, I think that over the summer we've been working on it, and we're getting the steps down, and well, it's coming along. We're giving Nate time, and hopefully he'll find the right guy to throw to.
Is it a lot more difficult to pass block than it is for the run?
Yeah, sure. We'll just pass block. You got guys coming blitzing through, and you just got to make sure you pick up the right guys and go with it.
And so the difference, I think, again, I'm going to say this again, is that because of your balance, it makes you guys that much more effective. The reason I wanted to get you guys on tonight is because we've had you guys, this is the third time we've had you on, Time Warner, and each time we've gotten a skill guy. And so I thought, hey, I even had somebody come up behind me and say, you got to get our line guys on there. They make this thing happen. Guys, I want to say congratulations to you. You've had a great season. I know you're looking forward to winning a conference championship, and then I know your goal is to win that Valley championship. Congratulations on tonight, and congratulations on your season so far, and best of luck to you next week against Highland. I am back with Coach Preston, and Coach, you got to admire Foothill. I know they came in without Gerald Irvin, and of course he's their main weapon, but Coach Permitter had these guys ready to play, and what a gutty effort by Stephen Baker and the things that he did tonight. I mean, it was a good football game.
It was a very good football game, and we knew they'd become prepared. You know, Ned has that way of getting his guys ready to play, and it wasn't just Gerald Irving. I mean, they had some good linemen. They have a good defense, and we knew they would come out and get after us. So that first drive kind of woke us up. They just took the ball and went right down and pounded us. And you know, everybody was, "Where's Irving?" Well, they didn't need Irving. They just because we always say the guys that put their hands on the ground win the game, and they got after us. And so I was happy with our kids' response. They came back and played hard, and our defense made some adjustments, did a good job, and they've really matured Foothill because, like you said, Baker can throw the ball now, which is they've been one-dimensional up till now, and I wish they'd stay that way. Well, we're past them. I don't care.
Well, I think the turnover, too, you know, you were opportunistic in that situation. You're up 20-15. You just scored. Rodney makes a big play for you to keep the drive alive, and you come back. They turn the ball over. You go right in and score. And I think, really, that kind of took the air out of them. And after that, your defense took over.
Yeah, once you get the momentum like that, now they got to score twice, and, you know, it makes it a lot harder. Plus, they've not relied on the passing game, and now you've got to go to the passing game, and field position makes a big part of it. You know, they had us pinned down here for a long time with Baker's kicking and then penalties and stuff, and so that makes a big difference in high school ball to go 90 yards, 80 yards, and we got that punt down about the 2 or 3 yard line there, and then it's hard to go all the way. And you're afraid to make a mistake like I did down here and pitch the sweep and got a turnover. So it's a big part of high school football is that field position.
I know you can't rest. You got to get ready to play Highland next week, so it just continues to get tougher. But, Coach, congratulations on a big win tonight. Best of luck next week.
Thank you. We're looking forward to playing Highland.
For the Prep Football Game of the Week, Time Warner on Channel 16, I'm Bobby Sharp.
Just when you thought you saw it all. It's Friday Football Extra with me, Steve Talbot, and Tom Helmer. Join us every Friday during the Team 17 News at 11. We cover high school football like a run. The hits. The Friday Football Feature. And you'll see them the same night of the game on Friday Football Extra. Why wait till Sunday or Monday for the results you can get on Friday night? Friday Football Extra. I'm Steve Talbot, and along with Tom Helmer, we bring you the Friday Football Extra show every Friday night. All the scores and highlights from the big games on Channel 17. More on that later on, but right now let's go back and take a look at the games of the week this past Friday and Saturday. Most dramatic comeback of the weekend was at South, where Rebel quarterback Craig Thresher was about to wear the goat horns. MacArthur Crowder scoring with Thresher's fumble to give Stockdale a 20-14 lead. But with 6:44 to go, Thresher spotted Deshaun Henry, who spotted an open lane down the sidelines and raced 35 yards for the winning score. South 21, Stockdale 20. At Bakersfield College Friday night, the incredible Jeff Dover passing machine, 18 yards to Ethan Beck. Dover has 22 TD passes. Beck's caught 13 of them. Highlands Playoff Express keeps chugging, beating East 36-7. At North, a non-league game, the Stars wish it had counted. Arvin glad it didn't. As ferocious as the Bears' defense has been, it couldn't lay a claw on Jason Conley, who scored 2 second-half touchdowns to put the game away. North 27, Arvin 6. Centennial, the best in the Southwest, playing at West. The Hawks' Jared Clark on a first-half lark scored 3 times, and that was it. Centennial 42, West zip. Sometimes it isn't the team that scores first that wins the game. At McFarland, a great option pitch by Ever Reyes to Edgar Enriquez. 8-0, the Cougars come out roaring, but are silenced thereafter by Parlier, 38-8. In 17 past meetings, Delano had beaten Tulare Union just once. How bad did the Tigers want this one? Look at Darvin Wattree on this second-half kickoff. Delano very much in the playoff hunt. Wattree goes 95 yards. Delano 43, Tulare Union 8. Where does Garces play its games? Why, of course, on Tobias Field. And it was Clint Tobias's field Friday night against Wasco. 3 first-half touchdowns, 197 yards rushing. Garces 35, Wasco 7. If you're going to beat Tehachapi, you better stop Anthony Gonzalez in the first half. Taft simply couldn't do it. Gonzalez runs wild again with 3 first-half tallies. Tehachapi 61, Taft zip. Tehachapi and Garces for the league lead showdown Friday night. Remember that Ridgeview team that didn't win a game its first season? Well, the Wolf Pack's attacking now. Friday night when Ridgeview got near the goal line, it sunk its teeth into Shafter. Larry Cox busting loose for 117 yards. Ridgeview in the playoff hunt beat Shafter 33-27. As for Community Christian, well, the season is almost over. Central Valley Christian's J.D. Cleek knifing through the Eagles for 6 of their 71 points. And CCHS ended up with a goose egg. All righty, that's going to do it for this week. Don't forget the game of the week on Time Warner next week at 7 o'clock will be East and Arvin. And then right after that, the highlight show. Don't forget Friday Football Extra this Friday night, 11:15 on Channel 17 with Tom Helmer and yours truly, Steve Talbot. We'll see you then.